And then there was one, ladies and gentlemen. That's correct. And then there was one. Last episode is always the best. It's the climax. It is the conclusion. It is where you learn everything you need to know that you've watched throughout the whole series. Well, this is it, ladies and gentlemen. Whit is here. And with me is my three best friends ever. PhoenixKnight, Lower Slower Board Gamer, and Higher Ground Gaming. And we're going to be going through our top 10 board games of all time.
Yup.
How's everyone doing tonight? Ooh, I am so excited about this. I can't speak. E4 Airman is here. He's ready to go. Viper Dave is here. Tim Zales is here. Everyone, thank you so much for coming out and checking out our top 10 best games of all time. Is finally here.
10-1.
All that work you've gone through, boys. All that work.
Yeah.
And you finally get to see. Oh, and Patrick is here as well. Thank you, Patrick, for coming out and checking out our top 10. So we're also going to go through and create a list of our top 5 recommended games. And we're going to kind of interdisperse those along the way for you guys out there. Just games that we think we would like to talk about or mention again that we had on our list for whatever reason. So I think it'll be a good time to talk about, maybe some games that, we talked about a couple sessions ago already, and you think it's worth bringing it up again for whatever reason. Maybe it's a good intro game. Maybe it's a game that you think people should find out about. Maybe it's a game that, it's like a hidden gem. So, oh, hey, what's going on there? We have Alan Brassard. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. I apologize for that. All right, so I have to pull up something over here and check out. I have to get my Board Game Geek thing going. I'm just not prepared.
But we have a special treat. Did you mention the special treat we're doing during our final top 10? Because I was doing other things.
Yeah.
How we're doing.
Go ahead and mention it again. Yeah, go ahead and mention it again.
But yeah, we are going to, throughout the countdown from 10 to 1, we are going to be giving each of us 5 recommendations for a board game that we think you should at the very least try. If not, purchase outright because they're great games.
Excellent. And I was telling the guys before we went live, this list for me, the other parts of the list I don't really care about as much, trying to fine tune, whether it's 37 or 38. But my top 10, I really care about. I've moved these suckers around like 10 times, and I could literally sit down and do it again. But I finally decided I'm not touching it again. I'm not touching it anymore. Right? Let it go.
I thought about moving mine around too, but I didn't.
Tony, what's going on? All right, so let's get to it. Who wants to start? You know what? I'll start.
You do
I haven't
it.
started yet. I haven't started yet. Let's start with me. My number 10. So my top 10. I have got a sports game, believe it or not.
Woohoo!
And I'm pulling it up on the old computer here on the Board Game Geek. It's a sports game. It's a baseball sim game. It's one of my favorites, obviously. It is what I consider the best sports sim out there because it's the highest rated one ever. And it's because it has great interaction between the pitcher and the batter. And which game am I talking about? I'm talking about Inside Pitch Baseball. Number 10. It is an awesome game. The cards and dice are really good. There is a computer version you can play, which is really good. The Inside Sports guys are great. They have listened to their customers. If you're going to get one sports game, if you're just, interested, I would like to try a sports game. I like baseball. My recommendation for you is check out Inside Pitch Baseball. It is awesome, quick to learn, and it has, like I said, the one thing that I really, really like about it, it has pitcher and batter interaction. It's not just pitcher and it's not just batter. They combine to give you your outcome.
Yeah.
That is my number 10 bestest sports game on the planet inside pitch baseball.
It's my highest rated sports one too.
Is it? Wow,
pick.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Very good pick.
And one I've actually never tried out, but then I'm still kind of a little bit shy around sports games as in board game format.
All right, who wants to go next? We're just going to go around the circle?
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess that'll bring us over to me then. So my number 10 is actually the highest war game on my list. I very nearly flipped my number 10 and number 11 games. This one actually came down to theme for me, where I like the theme of my number 10 better than my number 11. So my number 10 is actually Space Empires 4X from GMT. So I do really like having the heavy economy focus where you're really building up your empire to go out and destroy the doomsday machines and anything else you might do. I actually have yet to play this as a multiplayer game. I know there are some people out there who might knock the bookkeeping on this a little bit, but I really don't mind it. In fact, as I play the Hunters, you occasionally will hear me referencing a notebook that I'm keeping off camera. So I do a lot of bookkeeping with that as well. It helps me keep everything straight. I do like the strategic elements as well in this game, where you've got to figure out, okay, do you want to buff up a ship, an individual ship? Do you just want to buff the entire fleet? I usually go for the fleet personally, but that's just my opinion. And it's the theme definitely comes through in this game. And like I said, that's why I picked Space Empires as my number 10 and have the Hunters series at number 11.
Excellent game. And it is ranked number 43 best war game. So it is really, really well rated war game. And I know you've got a couple of the expansions. Have you tried it with the expansions yet?
Haven't had a chance to yet because this game is a major time sink, and I've got a bit of learning on other stuff that I want to get to, but I definitely want to get this out with expansions at some point.
Yeah, great game.
Yeah, that was your 97. That was your 97 ID Jester and my number 41. So
nice crossovers, nice. I love it. I think it's great. I think the expansions definitely add a lot of variability because it gives you so many other things to spend your points on. So,
yep.
All right, Chris.
Okay, this is my number 10, a crossover with PhoenixKnight and ID Jester.
I have an idea.
I'm speaking of is Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. I got Terraforming Mars 2 or 3 years ago or so, and I really enjoy that game, but I took a shot at Ares Expedition. It tightens it, it compacts it, it's easier to get to the table. Really good playing solo. You do everything in Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition that you do in the regular game. They also have expansions, which I am told really make the game much better, but it's not a long play. It really compacts everything down, and it doesn't take any of the strategy away whatsoever in doing so. It's a great game. I've played it a few times, and here at number 10 in my top 10, Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition.
Wow.
All right. Cool.
Definitely cool.
All righty. Well, like last week, it seemed to bunch one designer into like 3 in a row. That's what this one's going to do. It is my number 10, which I think ID, no, I think it was, I don't know, one of you guys guessed it anyway. It's ranked, I think, 14 overall. Let me just check here. 14 overall. It's the Castles of Burgundy, 17 overall. It was 14 for a while. 8.1 rating. Basically, it's a themeless game where you're drafting tiles to fit in your little neighborhood city area there, building castles, of course. A lot of end-game victory points on those. You're trying to build the right combination of tiles. You're doing shipping. You're doing hiring carpenters and all kinds of stuff. Agricultural tiles. Just lots of different things, and you're getting points based upon how fast you can get those little areas together, like 2 or 3 tile areas, building areas. That the faster you can do it, the more points you'll get. The shipping track determines turn order. It's an awesome 2-player game. I'd say it's probably best at 2 or 3 players. It does have a solo mode, which is decent, but it's a lot of people's favorite game from Steffenfeld, and that's Castles of Burgundy.
Yeah. I played the solo. Have you played it? I played the solo pretty good, and I thought the solo was just good. I thought it was really
good. I thought it's good.
Yeah.
It's got one of the worst productions ever, though. And they can't seem to get it right. The production, every time they make a copy of it, there's always something that's
right. There's something missing. Didn't they just come out with a new Kickstarter for the new deluxe edition or something?
Yeah.
Great game, great choice. As you say, it's got those tight decisions. Like, one little decision can send you down the wrong path.
Yep.
And you have to think about it. You can't just willy-nilly it. When you willy-nilly it, you don't get anywhere. Mm-hmm. You have to think about what you're doing, and that's why I like it. Yeah, definitely. Great game.
Yeah. Yep. Let's do our recommendations, our first recommendation.
Oh, you want to do our recommendation? All right.
Yep,
yes, I will do my recommendation. All right. All right, let me bring it up here. My first recommendation was my number 95 game way back when. And this is a game called Under Falling Skies. This is the reason I'm reintroducing this to you guys is I think this is kind of a hidden gem out there. I don't think a lot of people talk about this game. It's literally $20 to $25, brand new out of the box. It's not an expensive game, but you get so much inside this little box. You get a campaign game. You get all kinds of add-ons that you open up as you progress through the campaign. You have different cities with different powers. You have different units with different powers. It's basically Space Invaders, the board game, but with a lot of strategy involved. And I just don't think a lot of people talk about it. It is rated number 210 overall and strategy game 151. But I think you guys, if you're just looking for a great board game that plays something great solo and you just couldn't put it on the table and play something in half an hour, get this game and let me know what you think of it. That is my number 1 recommendation.
My first recommendation, I probably shouldn't have told you to go too far with Lower Slower's number 10, because we're coming right back to Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition as a first recommendation to check out. It's actually a decent intro. It's actually a really good intro to Tableau and engine builders. I normally don't go for those, but the theme here does wonders for that. And I'm actually kind of liking this. It was actually my number 43 game on my list, but as I get it out more and I sink my teeth into the expansions, this is definitely a game I see moving higher on my list. So my first recommendation, Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition.
Awesome. Wow, that was number 43 for you, Phoenix? Is that what you said?
Let me double check, but I'm pretty sure, number 43.
Awesome.
I am going for entry-level games that are going to get people into the hobby. And I only have one of my recommendations that I've already had on my list. And as a matter of fact, I had it on last week, my number 19, Carcassonne. It introduces you to tile laying, worker placement, got you covered, Higher Ground Gaming. And it's really fun. There's a lot of strategy to it when you get to the point where you're taking it seriously, but you don't have to really learn the game in order to start and play the game, and then little by little be like, oh, so if I do this differently, and really quick it ramps up into really trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? Really trying to get to where you start to excel at a game. It can be very inspirational in that way. So that's why I recommend, and it's everywhere. There's all kinds of expansions and all kinds of stuff. It's been out for a long time. Carcassonne.
Good recommendation. Good one.
All right. So my recommendation is not a work replacement game, but I think one of the biggest problems in most games is downtime in between your turn, especially the more players you add.
Mhm.
There's more downtime a lot of times the more players you add, generally speaking. Well, this is a game that kind of solves that. It's an engine building game. It's my number 97 Space Base, also on BGA. But what's cool about it is that because you have cards 1 through 12 of spaceships on your player board, and every time you add a card to that player board, you flip the card, one of the cards, and turn it around and put it upside down, and now that card will score you on another person's turn, basically. So you're always checking to see if you score another person's dice rolls, and basically, so you're always going to be you're always interacting and engaged in the game, building your engine. And that's my number 97. My number 5 recommended game, Space Base.
Great.
It's actually a game I keep in my car for when we have nothing else going on at game nights. I can run out to the car, grab this, and it's always a hit.
Yep. And there's a new expansion coming out too, I just saw.
Solo mode?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think one of them has a solo mode built in. One of the other expansions.
All righty. Well, my number 9. Oh, there we go. We can have 3D effects and everything. That's awesome.
Hey, this doubles up.
Wow. You're just amazing.
My number 9 best game of all time. And this is, I am sorry to say this. It is, up until about 2 months ago, when somebody asked me about this game, I said, I hate this game. It is horrible. It is terrible game. And then I tried it again because I spent $500+ on this game with all the expansions. And I'm like, I spent all this money getting all these characters. I'm going to try this out. And I got with a couple fellas on the internet that were doing it. And they convinced me to try it again and learn a little bit about the game. And it climbed up the ranks in the 2 months from probably my not even, going to get rid of the game up to number 9 of all time. What game am I talking about? I'm talking about Marvel Champions, the card game. I literally said so many bad things about this game. I poo-pooed it. It can be very mad. It can be very frustrating. It can be very upsetting. But you have to just go in with the right mindset. When you understand the game, what they're trying to do, it plays great solo. If you're looking for a great solo game, you can't go better than Marvel Champions. It plays solo, like one character, against the enemy very easily. You can two-handed it with several characters. You can multiplayer with 2, 3, 4, 5 people around the table. It plays great, any of those. And like I said, it is one of these games. It is kind of a time sink and a money sink because you got to put a lot of money in to get all the expansions and get all the heroes and get all the special cards and everything like that. Once you do, you have hundreds and hundreds of hours to play with. So my number 9, I can't believe it, Marvel Champions. I would have never thought that 2 months ago.
And that was PhoenixKnight's number 41.
Mm-hmm.
And I featured it for the first time on the channel on Friday.
Cool.
Yep.
We'll have to check it out.
Really like it was mostly a layout and time test, so I could figure out where I want to put it on the content schedule, and it actually seemed to work really well.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Anywho, you guys aren't here to hear me ramble about Marvel Champions again.
Yes, we are.
Well, it's not my number 9 game, though, so you're not here to hear me ramble about that. Anyway, my number 9 game is actually a deceptively simple thematic game. It's been called Cthulhu Yahtzee, and you're probably not, and people aren't wrong in describing it that way. And if Jester can't, oh, here it is. And of course, I'm talking about Elder Sign, also known as the third leg of Christmas in Arkham and the Summer of Lovecraft. So if you've ever played, like I said, if you ever played Yahtzee, you'll get the exact same idea where you're trying to match the tasks on the card with the dice you're rolling. So my number 9, Elder Sign.
Eric, how you doing? Private public. Patrick, tactics and tutorials. Alan, thanks for coming out, guys. Tim Zales, Viper Dave, everyone in the chat. We do appreciate you checking out our little top 10 of all time. Thank you guys.
All
Other
righty.
side, great game. Great game.
My number 9 game of all time, and it is my top small game. Tiny Epic Galaxies. I love this game. I'll pull it out. I'll play it 2 or 3 times in a row. And I actually got the Ultra Tiny Epic Galaxies a couple of months ago. The entire game fits in a little card deck sized box. And it stays in the truck. So that way, if I'm somewhere and someone wants to play a quick game, be right back. But man, it's great. And there's very little downtime in this as well. You are trying to colonize planets and expand your empire. First one to 21 points wins. And there's one resource that you can get that allows you to follow an action taken by another player on their turn. So you're always engaged in trying to catch that edge. Fantastic, fun little game. I've been playing it for quite a few years now, and I love it. Tiny Epic Galaxies by Scott Almus and Gamelin Games, number 9.
Cool.
Awesome. Hey, E4 Airman, thanks for coming by. Appreciate it. And Andre Ford, thank you guys for coming by. Just wanted to give these guys a shout out.
All right. My number 9. I have 2 games that have this mechanism in it, and that is multi-use cards. I love multi-use cards. It's just one of my favorite things to do in a game. And this is a game that I played early on when I started playing modern board games. A game my buddy had, and I liked it. And when I asked him about it, because he was thinking of getting rid of it, he says, "I already got rid of it," and because it was worth a lot. It's an out of print game. I don't have an actual copy of the game, but I do have its reprint in the Steffenfeld City collection. It's reprinted as Hamburg, but that game is Bruges. It's like I said, multi-use cards. You can use your cards for buildings. You can use them to get extra workers. You can use them
spell that for me?
What's that? Bruges.
BRU.
Yeah, GES.
Okay.
It's based on a city in Belgium, which a lot of his games are based on different cities. But yeah, it's just like I said, you can use the cards for buildings. You can use the cards to get extra workers of a certain color. There's basically 5 different colors of cards, and it's just the artwork on it. The cards is just really cool. It's like a Renaissance era game. The board itself is just really pretty. It's you're building canals in Bruges. There are some expansions to the game. But it's just one of my. It's very satisfying just to say, what do I do with this card? Do I use it for? And you have some dice rolls too. So depending upon the dice roll, the dice are of different colors and the cards are different colors. So if you decided to take a purple card for money, if it's a high value, like say a 6, if it rolls low, like a 1 or 2, you can go up on a city hall track. So you can decide whether or not you're going to spend money to go up on that track. There's area majorities and those things. There's also bad things that can happen too. If you all the 5s and 6s, if you get enough of them, will create disasters in the city. So there's some bad stuff too that can happen to you. But yeah, multi-use cards definitely one of my favorite things. And I haven't played the re-implementation enough to know which one I like better, but it is definitely one of my favorite games, and that is Bruges. Number 9.
Mm-hmm. What do you need?
I'll talk to you later.
What do you need?
I just sent a message to Dr. Keck on the portal.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We'll
talk about it later.
said, maybe we need to come in instead of having a televisit, but let us know.
Okay. Sorry. All right. Yeah, great. I'm sorry. The question was, can we have war games in the list? Yeah, we're going to have war games. We're going to have sports games. We're going to have board games, Euro games, Ameritrash, card games.
Basically, it's your list. It's our list. Yep. We can do whatever we want with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can put 2 sticks and a rock together. It's a game. So
Stone Age.
Exactly.
Oh, you guys would know.
In fact, we're doing my number 8 game, and it is,
What an artist.
believe it or not, a war game. Believe it or not, it is
Ask and you shall
great
receive.
series of games. It is a super series of games. Oh, and I have it there for you guys. To no surprise whatsoever, my number 1 war game of all time, Lock and Load Tactical. It's got so many different variations. There's Heroes of Normandy, Heroes of the Pacific, Heroes of the Motherland, Heroes of Defiance, Heroes of North Africa, Heroes of Vietnam, Heroes of the Bitter Harvest. I got them all. I enjoy them all. There's so many good things with this game. Such an easy system to learn, such an easy game to play. It is, and even though it's a war game, I think you can get non-war gamers to play it. There's a lot of strategy in it. It's not too overwhelming as a war game, and I would highly recommend, if you are into history and you want to get involved in wargaming, you don't know what kind of jump you should take, you want to take just a baby jump into wargaming, try any of the Heroes of Normandy. They actually have an intro kit that you can buy for very cheap. It's like $15 or something, and gives you kind of just a couple scenarios and a couple counters to play with and the rule book. So it's highly recommend. My number 1 war game of all time and my number 8 best game ever in the history of mankind, Lock and Load Tactical by the Lock and Load guys.
Now I got to drink twice.
Yeah, we have a drinking game as well. Anytime somebody says Lock and Load, everyone drinks.
God damn it!
Sorry, I'm not playing. I don't play drinking games as a rule.
It's not alcohol.
No. Oh no! This gets stupid enough as it is.
It's energy.
Right. Anyway, my number 8 game is a style of game that, based on what you see on what else you see in the collection and on my channel, you wouldn't think I would like a game like this much. It's another engine builder, and as I mentioned before when I was talking about Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition, I don't usually go for engine builders. Once again, the theme works here, and it's actually one of the more engaging games that I've ever played. That game is Gaia Project from Fureland.
I knew that was going to be there.
Yeah,
Which is a crossover. I believe it's a 4-way crossover, but I'm not
3.
I knew it was at least 3. I wasn't sure if we had the 4th one in there as well. Anywho, again, I like the theme on this one. The research tracks are very engaging, and the board is a modular for theoretically for a lot more replayability. So I know Jester and I have played this on BGA. So we'd probably get a totally different board if we were to bust it out again. And I don't know if we'd have a repeat on the same score there, but yeah, my number 8, Gaia Project.
Great game, great system. It uses the terraforming or Terra Mystica, the Terra Mystica format, but kind of enhances it a little bit and really does a nice job. It's not just a rehash. It's kind of taking the same system and making it like version 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Great game.
All right.
What
My
was that,
number 8
Chris, for mine? What was that? What number was that for me?
That was your number 8.
No, what was my Gaia Project?
Oh, Gaia Project was, let me find it. Number 80 for you.
Okay.
And for me, it was
Only because PhoenixKnight beat me so bad at it. I was mad at the game at the time. Yeah.
It was my number 47.
47. Okay.
Yep. 3-way crossover.
That's nice.
All right. My number 8 game of all time. I happened upon this while watching the World Series of Board Gaming last fall, and I was watching this game, and it was big, and I was like, I'm not so sure, but the more I watched, I was like, this is puzzling, and I need to get it. It's a crossover with IDJ, and we actually played it together on the interwebs one time, and that is Brass Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
Or, sorry, Ruff, Birmingham. I
Baltimore.
love Brass Birmingham. It is a fantastic game. You are in the industrial age, and through two eras, you are trying to expand your industry by growing industry, expanding your network, and increasing the technology of the industries that you have on the board. And if you are not careful, you'll run out of actions. If you are not careful, you'll run out of room, especially at higher player counts. I've only played solo and 2-player, but if I can get my gaming group to sit down and learn a new game, I really think I would enjoy this at 3 or 4. I really do.
It is good at 3 and
Yeah.
4. Yeah. I played 3.
Fantastic game. My number 8, Brass Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, it's my number 31. It is a super solid game. Super solid.
Love it. And
Number
I just got an old printing, like 2009, of Brass before it became Brass Lancashire. And I tried playing that, and man, that is a different game, and it's a tighter game. So I really got to wrap my noodle around that one, and I'm looking forward to breaking into it a little more. But a great series of games.
Yeah, well, it's the current number 1 board game of all time, according to Board Game Geek now.
Yep,
Yeah.
Martin Wallace.
Yep.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, mine is another game which is out of print by Rio Grande Games. This is a game, the reason it's this high is because of a certain mechanism which I've never seen in any other game. And it has what's called a Windrose, and the game is called Macau. And the first game I paid $3 bills for. And when I got it, I was not too happy to see that sticker on the box.
Oh.
However, but it's got a Windrose in it. And the cool thing about the Windrose is each round, you have to draft a card and put it into your tableau. And in order to complete the card, to make it active, you have to get a certain combination of cubes, certain colored cubes you have to match in order to get it. Now, you roll colored dice, similar to like in Bruges, except when you take the dice, the ones you're going to use in that round, the 2s you'll use in 2 rounds, the 3s, and so forth. So if you take a 6 die, you'll get a lot of actions out of it, but there'll be there'll be 6 rounds in the future. So you have to do a lot of planning in this game. There's 12 rounds in the whole game. So the longer you're willing to wait to take an action, the more powerful the action will be. Like it's a little slow getting started, but once you get started, you can take some massive actions and really bump up your game. You're going to be delivering goods, getting the goods from city quarters in Macau, in the city. It's based upon you're going to try to chain your territories in the city there, because you get bonuses at the end of the game if you can stain stuff. You're going to be pushing a ship around to deliver goods. There's a turn order track in it, but the whole thing is based upon this Windrose. If you can't complete contracts, if you have more than 5 cards at one time in your tableau, you start getting negative points. So you can't let stuff go by too fast. So, but the key is to get different color combinations of those things in your Windrose. But how much are you willing to like sacrifice big actions in the future, as opposed to getting stuff done right away? You'll be rewarded if you can get those combinations later on. So it's a really, really fun game. And that game was re-implemented too. It's called Amsterdam, which I have on the table right now. Yep.
Eric is saying this is dangerous on his wallet watching this show.
Yes.
Just you wait.
Just a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. And he also agrees. I got to play Brass Birmingham. Love the theme. Love the mechanics. The artwork is on point for my taste. I agree totally with that. I think someone closed a browser when they shouldn't have. Modine, I used to love when they actually had game stores you could go to. I would just go and steal the board games. Oh, that's not good. Why do you think they're out of business?
Well, we've hit the
So
point for our next round of recommendations anyway.
all right. Yeah, we closed
back.
the wrong browser.
Yeah, I went to go open a window and I closed one by accident.
All right, we're doing recommendations then, Chris, right?
Yep.
All right.
Second recommendations.
Let me pull that up here and all right. Let's see if we get it here. All right, my this is another one of these recommendations that is a game that I think if you can find it, you might want to pick up a copy of it and get some expansions with it because I think it is super great. It's out of print. It's been out of print for probably a good 10 years, so it's kind of hard to track down. But for me, it's one of my favorite living card games out there, and this one is Warhammer Invasion. It's another one of these ones that Fantasy Flight got you to suck a lot of money into at their packs every month and, adding new factions to the game and everything. But this one was so interesting for me because it was a little bit of not just put your card out and play and like Magic the Gathering where you're, fighting back and forth. It's where you put your card. There's different sides to your fortress. And then depending on where you put your guys, they can only protect that certain area when it was attacked. And each of them had special abilities that might work in one area versus a different area. And then there's like a hierarchy you needed where you needed so many points for that faction to put a card into play. Like you might need to have 3 of those cards already in play before you can bring that one in. It was really, really good. And then it kind of ran its course and been out of print for a long, long time. If you can find a copy, I would recommend you get it because it's really, really good. And that's my number 2 recommendation.
My second recommendation takes us back to is mostly kind of, I guess it's a simple enough game, but tabletop RPG players will probably find a lot of use out of this one. It's got a very unique mechanic where instead of rolling dice or anything like that, you're actually reading runes as part of building a character's backstory. I'm actually talking about Call to Adventure. So this is, again, you're mostly building up a backstory, and in solo, you're taking on a dedicated adversary for these. So you get an origin, a motivation, and a destiny. Basically, it's your scoring goals. Basically, your origin is how your story starts. Motivation is how your character's set up, and your destiny is your end game scoring. So second recommendation, Call to Adventure.
Great little game, and I need to get that. I need to try that on the channel one of these days.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
All right, my second recommendation. Last year, one day, I was just flipping through some of the board game channels that I watch, and I watch every once in a while Gray Family Plays Games, and they get along fantastic, husband and wife. They're fun to watch, and this one day they're playing the Great Heartland Hauling Company.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, okay, small, cool-looking game, trucks. Why not? You have a semi. And we're going to slip into it here because you got to role play when you're playing a game like this. Say you got your big truck and you drive around and you pick up all kinds of stuff like heifers and piggly wigglies and soybeans, and the corn just keeps on coming. And then you drop it off in places and you get money. And then if you're going to go somewhere, either got to spend some of your money or hopefully you got that Walmart gift card and you can get some gas, and you just go ahead and go around, and the first person to get to the certain amount of money for however many players are playing, 2 to 4, but I made a solo thing. That person is the winner, and they're the big hoss daddy of all truckers of all time. It's a great, fun game, very easy to do. Only 3 actions you can take, very easy to learn. Another fantastic gateway game into this beautiful hobby we call insanity. All brought to you by Dice Hate Me Games and Jason Katarski, the Great Heartland Hauling Company. Pedal down.
Pick up and deliver.
Rolling on. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that in my radar for a while.
It's a fun, cool little game, and it's easy to learn. Yeah, jump on it.
All right. So my game is a kick your butt game that will leave you crying half the time. And I know it's on Chris's list at least, and that is my number 48, Robinson Crusoe.
Oh, yeah.
Adventures of the Cursed Island.
Yeah.
Just a game that I have to bring out every once in a while when I'm starting to get on my high horse and say, it'll humble you. So, yep. Just love crafting on it, love exploring, and just love getting my butt kicked. Robinson Crusoe.
I think I had that as well. I'm looking at it.
That was your number 24, and I
Yeah,
got it and played it
Oh, you
after
had
I
it,
made
okay,
my
yeah,
list.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
it
not
was
on my list.
24. Yep.
I wasn't sure if it was there. So.
Yep.
Yep. But I
Great
did.
game.
I
Great
love it.
game. Yeah.
Yep.
It's it was almost going to be my recommendation game too. So it's interesting. It's on your
I'll do it
list.
for you.
All righty.
Oh, we're going right to 7. All righty, here we go. 7. I got to pull up my sheet. Whew, number 7. Number 7's a beauty. Number 7 is a beauty. It's one of these games that it's my most recently played game. That's a hint. That's a hint. You might see it right over my shoulders. That's right. We played it this afternoon. Eldritch Horror. And what a game. This game, there's only one mechanic that I don't really think is great in this game is where you can have a card condition or whatever, and there's like 10 copies of it, and then some kind of a thing will happen and force you to flip it over, and each of the back of the cards is different. I'm not a great big fan of that, but everything else it does in the game is super, super good. It was a lot of fun playing this afternoon. It plays great. 3 players, 4 players. I've done it solo on my channel where I've run several characters. It's a longer game, but as you progress through your adventure, you can feel the dread, you can feel the doom, you can feel the world getting swallowed up around you, and there's nowhere you can go, there's nowhere you can hide, and you end up just thinking, wow, what a game. And that's my number 7 of all time, Eldritch Horror.
Don't go too far with that link.
All right, I won't go that far.
It's not my number 7 game, but my number 7 game is one that when I first saw it on the table, I didn't think I was going to like it because I wasn't a huge fan of the universe it's set in, and it's got 2 very different mechanics in it. One I'm a fan of, one I'm really not. I like deck builders, but as I've talked about before, I really don't like worker placement games. Then what?
Okay.
then I played it a few times. I was
That's
like,
a
okay,
horror.
this is actually a pretty cool game. And I'm surprised it's climbed as high as it has up to number 7. That game is Dune Imperium. Where you start off with a starter deck, and then you build from that based on where you send your agents and the Imperium row. So your goal is to control the spice on Arrakis, where you want to get to about, I think the goal is actually 10 victory points.
Yep.
You never really feel like you're completely out of it, especially with the way the conflict deck works out. Where as long as you build decently well, you can potentially get blindsided and end up losing the game or the other way, you come back and pull the game out of the fire. My number 7, Dune Imperium, and I think this is a crossover with at least Jester.
At the
Did you
very
say the
least.
Spice Girls were in it?
Yeah. We're Old Spice.
Old Spice Girls.
Great game. Great game.
Fantastic game.
Yep. Great game. That's all I'll say.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. My number 7 board game of all time. I like racing games. And I got this game for Christmas this last year, and I have fallen in love with this game. Heat. Pedal to the
Mm.
metal, baby.
You're one of the few people that got it, huh?
I love this game. It's racing, so you have your cars on different road courses, and it is a little bit of a not so much a deck builder, but deck management, I suppose you would call it. But you are taking 2 laps, and you've got to go easy into the corner so you don't spin out and you don't burn your engine up, and you got to hit the straightaways just right. You got to slip into the right gear at the right time. There's a lot of things that need to come together in order for you to cobble together a win on the road courses in this game. I absolutely love it. I've played it just yesterday, as a matter of fact. I got the gaming group to learn it, and it didn't take much to learn it. First playthrough, they kind of learned how the hands worked. I didn't play. I taught them how to do it, and I'm showing them what to do with their hands, and then I played in the second game, and it really went over very well. Fantastic. Absolutely love Heat. Pedal to the metal. My number 7.
That came out of nowhere, and it instantaneously sold out. It was really, really popular.
Yes.
I mean, by the time I heard about it and was like, oh, I should probably pick this up, couldn't get it.
Well, you got to watch it on my channel.
That's true. That's true. I can live through vicariously through you.
It's a great game. It is.
There you go. Alrighty. So my number 7. I noticed a theme, not work replacement, but medieval. I like games that take place in medieval times, it seems.
Cool.
This game, what makes it different for me is the game mechanism, and that one is bag building. You're basically drawing stuff out of a bag and trying to match up and do as many actions as possible. And you place stuff you take out of the bag into your tableau, and then you take actions, seeing each action requires certain number of things to basically to do that action. And that game is Orleans. And what makes this game great is the base game in and of itself is really cool, but what really makes this game is the invasion expansion, which adds co-op, it adds solo scenarios, it adds another multiplayer mode. It's just a super cool game where you're actually just taking different types of workers like knights and monks. Monks are wild in the game. There's farmers. There's just different things, and the action spaces require you to put those tiles that come out of your bag, and you can increase your tile size, so you'll draw more stuff out of a bag as the game goes on. There's goods, of course, in it. There's just different. You can get extras of different workers. There's different action tiles that you can purchase to do different actions in the game. It's just it's by Rainer Stockhausen, who also did another game. I know it's on my top 100 called Altiplano, which is basically uses the same bag building mechanism, but I just love the drawing stuff out of the bag and seeing if you get what you need. So it does work like deck building in that you have to thin your bag out after a while. If you sort of like on Dominion and stuff, if you get a bunch of junk tokens in there, you want to there's ways to get rid of them, so you're actually drawing more of what you need and want. But yeah, bag building is definitely a core element of this game, and that is my number 7, Orleans.
Great game. I have not played it, but man,
it's
I can see it. I want to play it. I want to get it, but you're right. The one thing is you have to get it. You have to get a couple of the expansions, I think.
Yeah, definitely get the
Invasion, and then there's another one that is people say to get. And I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head, but it looks great. I mean, it looks solid as a heck.
Yeah, it's in the top 100 too. It's ranked pretty high.
Number 30, 24 strategy game of all time.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Number 6. Number 6. Let me see what I have for number 6. All right. So here's what I'm going to say about my number 6. From 2 to 6 is so tight. These games have moved up and down, up and down, up and down. This game right now was number 2 like 2 weeks ago. So anywhere 6 to 2, these games, any one of them could be number 6. Any one of them could be number 2. This week, it just happens to be a game that PhoenixKnight just talked about, Dune Imperium.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best games ever created to man. It has one of the best solo modes. And when I started this, I said if the game has a good solo mode, it's going to get extra points. The game is great. It has a great solo mode, and everything you do in the game matters. And the card building mechanic in this game is so cool because it's like, oh, I can get more actions and spend cards to do things. But then you don't have the cards at the end to turn them in and get all your other bonuses and get new cards. And you'll get weaker cards, which just weaken you and make your opponents get stronger. One of the best games ever, Dune Imperium. PhoenixKnight, you are correct on this one. Great game.
Don't go too far with that. Not right away, but keep it up.
Okay.
My number 6 game. Let me ask you guys a question. You ever want to punch Cthulhu in the mouth or the whatever he's got? In my number 6 game, you can. Because my number 6 is Cthulhu Death May Die by Simon Games. So the episodic nature of this game actually gives it a lot of replayability. It's similar to Mansions of Madness, but again, instead of running away from the Ancient One, you're punching it in the mouth this time. So you take the episode and the Ancient One, mix it together, and you got your game. So they play the same episode, like Blasphemous Alchemy, for example, plays very differently between if you're playing the Ancient One as Cthulhu versus playing it as, say, Haster. And there's a new Kickstarter coming out that I think is due out at the end of the year. I went all in on that one, even getting the giant Cthulhu statue from season 1. So when that comes in, I will definitely be unboxing all of that on the channel.
Cool. Yep.
Let's see. Andre Ford says Dune Imperium is a great game. I'm trying to catch up on her chat here. Sorry, guys.
Oh, it's okay.
All good.
Let's see. I'm just looking through. Orleans I actually own. It's a great game, says Eric.
Yeah.
He says I will love it. Yeah, I look forward to checking it out for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Number 6, Chris.
Number 6. My number 6 I have had for 2.5 months. I've had it on the channel. And it is my only verb. Hadrian's Wall is my number 6. That quickly got to the top because I'm all about the combos, man. You start out with workers. It's worker assignment, perhaps. But you use workers to check off boxes on your sheets, and you get more stuff in response, so you can do more things. And no pun intended, this game checks off all my boxes. It really does. It's fantastic just to see how far you can go into a turn. And then at the end of each turn, there are 6 years, and a turn is a year. You get attacked, and you have to have your defenses up. You have to have enough cohorts to ward off attacks to the left, to the center, and to the right. And if you don't ward them off, you get disdain, which takes points off the very end of the game, and you really need to try to avoid that. But man, it's such a new game, and I'm surprised with how enamored with it I have become. Hadrian's Wall, man, it's all that it's cracked up to be. It really is. I really enjoy it. My number 6 board game of all time, Hadrian's Wall.
Yeah, that's one of the heavier rolling rights, definitely.
It is. There's a lot on those 2 sheets.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot, but once you get the hang of it, it's very intuitive.
Yeah,
very intuitive. Once you get the hang of it, it's very easy to see what's where and know where to go with it. It really is. It's just daunting for the first 2 or 3 plays, but once you get the hang of it, you roll.
Yeah, I played it 3-player.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, he's got a lot of war going on there. I'm going to have something pastoral.
Oh.
And it just takes place in I believe it's Germany or France, one of those European countries. And it is a two-player game. It's 2 players is the max you can play it, the base game. It does have an awesome solo mode. And that is another UE game, and that is Fields of Arle.
Ah,
And this has a really cool way to play this game. It's seasonal. It's like you have summer and winter, basically. You have 4 summer stages, and I think 5 winter, or vice versa. I think it's the opposite. You can only play the summer actions during your summer. It is worker placement. But what's cool about this, it's got a master workbench action in which you can build up all your other actions. So it's basically, it's just a really cool way of the act of strengthening the actions that you take. Like, say you want to shear sheep. If you take your master workbench and you increase by paying goods that action, you can take that action higher. Or if you want to collect flax from your fields, that kind of stuff. There's raising animals. There's peat. You have to drain the bogs of the peat and stuff like that, and build up your increase your land area by pushing back the dikes in the game. It's just really cool, puzzly goodness, and it got an excellent solo game in it. They do have an expansion for it, which adds a 3rd player to it and adds boats and stuff like that to it. But it's very hard to find the expansion. But this is just it's a really cool, just grab a cup of coffee and play the game, and it's just really relaxing and just puzzly goodness. And it is, I think it's ranked in the 60s, somewhere around there now.
Number 79.
Yeah, it was in the 60s for the longest time.
Number strategy game 53.
Yeah, it's just it's an like an 8.0. It's definitely an 8 for me too. At least an 8, probably a 9. But yeah, it's just a really excellent engine building game. With that,
Man, you are brutal on your games. This is your 6th best game of all time, and you rank it only a 9? Oh, cow.
Yeah.
Wow, man, you're rough. You're whew.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be judged by you.
I leave room for improvement.
now, I tell you what, though, I've never watched this game played, but I totally get what you're talking about when a game has a certain groove to it, because I've got a couple that are like that, and yeah, that's totally. Actually, one of my recommendations later is going to have a groove to it.
Yeah, it's definitely a table hog, so definitely be prepared to have a big table when you play this game, even solo.
Cool.
Yeah, it looks like a good one for sure.
Yeah.
And it's a good game because whenever you type in a word on Board Game Geek, they always bring them up everything based upon like popularity, and every game that Higher Ground Gaming gives me, and I just type in like Fields, it's like the top one. It's like,
yeah, and it's a huge box. This is just the solo game.
Oh my god, that is huge.
It's like almost a Feast for Odin box.
One more round of recommendations.
We're going to do that when we come back from a nice little 5-minute break.
Cool.
I think everyone deserves to get something to drink and hang out, and we'll be back and give us like 4 minutes.
All right.
4.
4. Not much. Not anything else.
Not
anything
5.
else.
Not 3. 4.
4 minutes.
All right.
Oh, I need a screen that says "Be right back." That's what I need. Where's my screen that says "Be right back"? I don't have one that says "Be right back." All right. Well, we'll be right back.
Probably Coliseum. Or was only showing. And when I Googled it to see what TSH was typo, and I heard by Roy that it shows that the thyroid's not working. So we don't have a thyroid, so I don't understand how that relates. So it looked like there's a possibility that you're over medicated. You know, they put you on 300. Maybe now you'll have to go down.
Maybe. I guess I need to get a screen that says, be right back.
Doritos.
Yeah, I'm going for Fritos. I really am. Yeah.
I'm saying
I
Cool
could be
Ranch.
Cheetos. It's definitely got Eatos on the end of it.
Eatos.
Eatos. It's definitely some kind of Eatos.
Mosquitoes. Might be it's Florida. It's Florida. It could be mosquitoes.
Hey, time's up. All right.
Well, welcome back, everybody.
Okay, what were you eating?
Popcorn.
Oh, okay. We were all going for an Eato of some kind. Doritos, Cheetos, Fritos.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why the wife would bring me a popcorn when she knows I'm
I
going.
got my co-host here.
I see.
Say hi, Max. Oh, you heard like that, Max. He's a weirdo, isn't he?
Even the cat runs away.
Hey, animal repulsion.
I thought that was my job.
Mhm.
All right.
Great.
Well, my next recommendation for you guys, again, this is a game, if you can find it, this is one of these hidden gems. It was out, came out 2018, so it's not that old, but you can't find any copies available. I mean, maybe a secondhand market or something. It is super cool, super fun. It is Darkest Night Second Edition. You basically have a labor of love when it comes to a board game here. The rules are very simple, but you have 28 different characters, 29 different characters. I forgot how many are in there. Every character comes with their own deck of cards. Your the game, as it works against you, has a huge deck of cards for all kinds of different events and things that'll happen. So every time you play, you're going to get a different experience. And even if you play with the exact same characters, because you're only going to get like through a few cards here and there, and each of the characters has 10 different cards. And like I said, each of the enemy decks are huge. It's kind of an expensive game, but man, oh man, you get so many good things with this game. So many good things. Darkest Night, Second Edition. It's kind of a horror fantasy. You're going up against a necromancer, and you need a 7 or higher to kill him. The problem is you can only roll a 6-sided dice. So you need some bonuses that you have to earn throughout the game. Darkest Night, Second Edition. Find it, get it. It's a great, great game.
I had this one briefly, but I didn't really care for it too much. It felt like too much of a slog for me, where you sit and you don't really feel like you're making progress. Is my biggest problem. But my third recommendation is actually going to be a very small flip and write from Blue Dog Games, where you're trying to build a nice, quiet suburb with your pools, your various estate sizes, making them stronger. You can also use temp agencies to manipulate your buildings. I'm of course talking about Welcome To. So this was my number, what was it? 23 on the list. Where no, not 23, 22 actually.
Yep.
I was just double checking the list. But there are definitely plenty of expansions as well. I haven't played with any of those yet. And it's actually decent channel content for people to play along with if they want to experience a game along with me. So, third recommendation, Welcome To.
Cool.
Good one.
No, thanks, Bobby. That's Mags the cat.
All right. My recommendation for this round, going along with entry point kind of gateway games, is The Resistance. And The Resistance, it's a party game, social deduction, and what it is you are the resistance, and the government has gone corrupt, and they're trying to keep food from babies, I believe it is. So you're going out on missions to thwart the government. Only problem is there are government agents that have infiltrated your resistance group, and you don't know who they are. They reveal themselves at the beginning of the game, and no one else knows who they are. And you go through missions and try to get more missions to pass than fail, but you don't know who you're sending. So it's really tough. Do you fail the first mission, or do you let it slide so that way you went on a mission that passed and then fail a later one when they trust you when they really don't need to? It's the kind of game when you can look at your mom and say you don't trust her and you don't let her go on a mission.
Whoa.
It's really easy to learn. It's really fun. How well do you know each other? Do you send them out? Are you going to win the game, or are the government agents going to cast you down and rain hellfire upon you? Cool game, easy to play, easy to get people into a different kind of board game, The Resistance.
Nice.
Cool. All right. My third recommendation one is number 46 on my list, and that is The King's Guild. It's the only game that I know of by this designer. It's too bad because it's a great game. I got it off a Kickstarter kind of when I was first getting Kickstarter games. If you're into RPGs, if you're into going questing, anything, D&D, that kind of stuff. Just getting into board games, it's simple enough to pick up, easy to teach, very great production value. It's on BGA, so if you can try it out on there. Not sure how hard it is to find a copy of it, but it's just a very satisfying game in which you're fulfilling quests for adventurers, basically, in a nutshell. And that is the King's Guild, which is my number 46, but number 3 highly recommended game.
Mm-hmm. And that's one cool thing about recommendations tonight. With our top 10, we would recommend any of the games you're going to hear at any point on the show.
Yeah.
We really would. But we just wanted to bring some out and single them out for you. Let you, check these games out. You may not be thinking about them.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Anything from my maybe 45 down to 1 is a 10 out of 10. I would highly recommend any one of those.
Well, you've got
we're just trying to highlight a few for whatever reason. I'm kind of highlighting games that I think are hidden gems. Chris is doing more of introductory games, so we're just giving people a second chance to look at a few games that we think, you should take a look at.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what are we on to 5?
Artwork.
Oh, lovely. We got little exploding fireworks and stars. Oh,
yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Number 5.
Need some color in that. Add some color.
Oh, God bless. Okay, I'll be right back.
My number 5 is a re-release definitive edition of a game that was in my probably top 5 games of all time for the last 10 years. And they re-released it with a definitive edition, and I love it even more. I hate to say it, but I love it even more because they've kind of tightened up some of the rules. They kind of outlined some of the problems they had with the original game. It is another one of these superhero games that's, but this is superheroes you've never heard of until you start getting into the lore of the universe that you're playing with. That is Sentinels of the Multiverse, the definitive edition. I would recommend the definitive edition if you don't already previously own Sentinels of the Multiverse. They just released it with the definitive edition, which I think tightens up a little bit of the rules, kind of fine-tunes some of the heroes, and makes it just a slightly better game overall for everyone. It's still one of the best games ever. I still go back and play the original Sentinels of the Multiverse. I have everything they have made for Sentinels of the Multiverse, and I love their super cool little foil cards that you can get. And how many games do you have foil cards for? That's super cool. Greater Than Games, a lot of their games are really, really good. Spirit Island being their other key acquisition.
Yeah.
But I was at Origins when Sentinels of the Multiverse first came out many, many moons ago, and I picked it up then, and I've been hooked ever since. You can play this solo, but you got to play with at least 3 heroes. And if that's, if you don't want to run 3 different heroes or 4 different heroes, then it might not be the game for you if you're playing solo, but it plays great with 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. And it's different every time because you're going to be going up against different villains, different environments, different heroes, and it's going to play differently every single time. My number 5 best game of all time, Sentinels of the Multiverse.
This is my number 44 on my list, and
Oh,
this
is
is
it?
actually, yeah,
I didn't know that you already had that on your list. Okay.
yeah. It's part of it's. I don't know. Since I've started kind of poking around with Marvel Champions again, I'm starting to see where the decision space is kind of a little bit limited in Sentinels, where you do one thing, you play one card, you activate one power, maybe multiples if you've got a way to activate more. But there's just, to me, it's just not as I don't know what the word I want. Maybe engaging isn't the word I want, but it seems to me at least that there's not as much to do in Sentinels as there is in your Marvel Champions. But again, that's just my opinion.
I think it's designed to be a simpler, easier game to teach and play. Mm-hmm. One action, one button power, draw a card, and you're done.
Yeah, I guess I could see that.
Yeah.
maybe I'm just kind of starting to.
And he just got his Rook City in yesterday, one of the expansions they re-released. So, anyways, that was my number 5.
Mm-hmm.
My latest playthrough of my number 5 game is actually going to be hitting the channel tomorrow. And it's going to be, well, I'm not going to get spoilerific with it, but it's another one of those highly thematic games. And if you're not used to hearing about Cthulhu games by now, you probably should be. I am, of course, talking about Arkham Horror 2nd Edition. So it's definitely a highly thematic game. I have all of the expansions, and it was quite pricey to get into it all. The different ancient ones have each of their own ways to mix up the game, and there's a ton of content for this one. Almost, maybe a little bit, well, I wouldn't say too much, but the decks can definitely get obscenely huge, especially when you start playing with 3, 4, 5, all of the expansions even. You'll probably end up with a Mythos and or Otherworld deck about yay thick, I would say. It's going to get pretty packed in a hurry, and good luck shuffling that beast. But yes, it's a very engaging, highly enjoyable experience. But again, also a massive table hog, so do be ready for that. My number 5, Arkham Horror 2nd Edition.
I can't wait to see your playthrough, man. I cannot wait to see your playthrough of it. I'm excited. I love watching people play this. I was doing a Sunday night where I was playing it every week. I can't wait to see how other people do and how they handle the situations.
It's also the second leg of my Summer of Lovecraft and Christmas in Arkham campaigns. But anyway, my number 5, Arkham Horror 2nd Edition.
All righty, my number 5. Here it is. And anyone who knows me is going to get this by the middle of the second sentence. In 1987 for Christmas, I got APBA football. And I loved it so much that for the years following that, I was trying to find a baseball game that gave me the same feeling. And in 1991, USA Today's Baseball Weekly, they decided to do a 32 bracket tournament of the greatest hitters of all time facing the same 5 pitchers in 162 game schedules. And I think Pete Rose won that tournament. I don't remember because 31 years, fogs of time and everything like that. And they used a very basic edition of Stratomatic Baseball PC. But Stratomatic Baseball is my number 5 game of all time. I got it in 1992. A month before I started selling auto parts, I went to my grandparents, and one day my nanny, she decides she's going to go to a store. There's a KB right down there. Well, let's go in and kick around and see if they got anything cool, board game or whatever. And I saw Stratomatic there, and I remembered it from the USA Today stuff. I just grabbed it, bought it, went home, tore it open, started playing the 1991 Orioles, and lost from that point on. Absolutely love this game. I've got about 15 seasons. I've got a whole bunch of the extra sets. You guys know it started as Stratomatic Delaware, and this game is the reason. It is my number 5 board game of all time. Number 1 sports game right at the top. Stratomatic Baseball.
I think that tournament was in a Baseball Digest, I think, maybe.
It was a paper. They may have had it in Baseball Digest also. Yeah. I'm not sure, but it was in Baseball Weekly because I remember they had it on the newsstands at the Mr. Donut in town.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Cool. All right, my number 5. I actually disliked this game the first time I played it. It had a lot of take that in it, and plus they got one rule wrong. When you got your income, they forgot to add your terraform rating to it. So basically, you just got nothing and couldn't do anything turn after turn. And that game, of course, is Terraforming Mars, the original. I have not played the other one. I do enjoy this one, mostly multiplayer, but I do enjoy it solo. But I have to play it with the Prelude expansion. Without absolutely. The Prelude expansion, it falls a lot, but it's just too slow. But I've got the Prelude expansion with it. I've got a couple of the others, but the Prelude is my favorite one. I always play with it. I've got the little minis like ID Jester has there for the buildings and stuff and oceans and whatnot. And with all that stuff, I just really enjoy playing the different corporations and and seeing how I can do. There are some dead cards, yeah, but it doesn't bother me, and I would still want to try the other one, but I do like the whole shebang. I like the whole getting the board out and doing it and everything. So, yeah, that's my number 5,
Mhm.
and that's Terraforming Mars.
Great game, great game. Get the little expansion board for the different places in Mars you can go to. Add some variability and
colonies and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have the colonies one.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome game. I think that's going to be a crossover. I know with me, who Chris has got it, right?
I have it, but I went with Ares Expedition on this list.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
It was just a crossover with me then, huh? Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Color.
So my number 4.
Okay.
I did.
Hey, look at the tank, IDJ.
Oh,
reference
that's so
to.
sweet.
That's so
Look at that
pretty.
girl.
What a pretty
Wow.
tank.
Nice.
Nerd
Lovely.
Workshop.
I told you me and PhoenixKnight were going to have a lot of crossovers this time. And for some reason, I rank all my games one better than PhoenixKnight does. I don't know why that is. I think PhoenixKnight is just harder on his games than I am.
Oh, yeah.
But my number 4 best game was actually my number 2 best game for the longest time. Till about 2 months ago or about a month ago, I played on my channel. And again, I remember it's got a little finickiness to it, just a little bit. So I dropped it a couple spots just to punish it a little bit, just to say you're a nasty boy. That is my number 4. What are we at? 5? 4? What are we at? 4. Yes, 4. Best game of all time is the 2nd edition of Arkham Horror. And like I said, I would put this as number 2 most of the time, but I was a little frustrated with just the finickiness of it. And it is, as PhoenixKnight said, when you add the expansions, it is a table hog. And if you're living in a space like myself, you have to put those extra expansions on. You've got pieces and boards everywhere on your around. It can be a lot to manage solos. But there's so many great adventures, so many great experiences I've had with this game. And there's been times where literally it looks like we're ready to win, and you pull the next card and the game just comes up and bites you and says, no, you think you're going to win, but no, sir, you're not. And I just enjoy games like that because you just have to play it to the very end because you just never know what's going to happen. My number 4 bestest game of all time, Arkham Horror, 2nd edition.
Pretty much the whole universe is very punishing, but you get used to that after a while, and you come back for more and more and more.
Yep. We have a theme of like not liking ourselves with our games. I see this.
I guess.
Apparently. Well, I guess let's change the pace a little bit. My number 4 game is another one of these games that I probably shouldn't like based on not normally going for engine builders, but I really do enjoy this one. And you might have seen us allude to it earlier, but my number 4 is a big beast. And don't go too far with this link either, Jester, in Terra Mystica. So this one, you're taking fantasy factions through trying to build up your living space. The one knock I will kind of give on this, about this game is the call tracks are a little bit generic, where in Gaia Project with the research tracks, you're actually gaining more resources, making your actions a little bit stronger. But I really do like Terra. I do really enjoy Terra Mystica, and I've featured on the channel multiple times and have no plans to stop featuring it. So my number 4, Terra Mystica.
Higher than Gaia. I like it.
I'm surprised it's higher than Gaia. No.
Is that 3-way crossover?
For me, it's a crossover.
Yep.
Yeah, me too.
My number 4, kind of going along with family games and everything that some of these recommendations I have are. And we had an outing at my sister's place, and there were all kinds of people there. And when there's lots of people, I like sitting out on the deck. And Ron and I sat out, and we played this domino kind of game, and that game is Azul. It's a tile laying game where you are thematically tile makers in Portugal and you are trying to satisfy the king with the most beautiful tile arrangement possible. And you fill lines, and as you fill lines, you move them over to the scoring portion, and adjacent tiles score points, columns, rows, and completed color groups score points. And there is games generally go anywhere from 6 to 8 rounds, depending on the first person that decides to make a complete row. They can make a row anytime they want and cut it off if they think they have it beat. But it's just sit down. It's thinky. It's puzzly. It's got some take that where if I see that Ron is trying to get a row of blues and there's one blue left and I don't need it, I'll take that blue anyway. And I may even chuck it down into the negative points just to say, ha, because that's how we play. But it is a fun game. It really is. It plays 2 to 4. I came up with a solo variant a while ago, which seems to work. It's beat your own score, but still it's trying to get the tiles you take out of the bag and arrange them, and you can only take certain ones, and it's not samey. It seems like it would be, but it's not samey. It's a really good and engaging game. My number 4 board game of all time, Azul.
Awesome.
Alrighty, my number 4 is my highest rated UE game, and the first one that I ever got, I got it in a trade. It's a nautical game. It's a game in which you're going to be pushing your boat along a canal, taking goods from a pier area, or building buildings in which you can take actions with. And that game is Le Havre.
Can you spell that for me?
LE and then new word HAVRE.
Got it.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like I said, I can pull that right up.
Yep. Le Havre. Yeah.
Le Havre.
Yep. It's a game in which it's good. It does have a great solo mode. The way the buildings come out is really cool. They come out in numerical order, in a way, but there are 3 different piles that come out in numerical order, so it's not like the same order every game. And depending upon the way the buildings come out, the buildings allow you to you're basically upgrading goods to the next level. You can build ships and do trading in it. A lot of times when you don't know what to do, just take the activity that gives you the most goods. You're gonna, like I said, building ships at the every so rounds. You have to feed your people, which is a common UE theme. But this one does it a little differently with the way the tokens come out. In the ships basically go in a line, and it's just a really satisfying game. And this is a game we can actually score negative points in. And actually, one game I tried to score negative points in. I was doing so badly that I just took out a whole bunch of loans, and I think I ended up with an 8 as a score, but didn't quite get my negative victory point score. But it's very cool upgrading goods game. One of Tom Vassel's from the Dice Tower's favorite games from 2010. And that is Le Havre.
Overall 62, strategy 52. Very well routed game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
1 to 5 players. How's the solo?
The solo is excellent. It does have a couple little mini expansions with extra buildings and stuff. So it's not. I don't think it's a beat your own score. It might be. I'm not sure. Yeah, it might be. But it's still very satisfying because it's a puzzle game. Because basically the order the buildings come out are very important because they determine whether or not you can get your engine going to like have massive turns towards the end of the game. But a very fun game.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Next round of recommendations.
Next round of recommendations. Huh? All righty. Let me pull mine up. This is what I call another hidden gem. If you are looking to get into wargaming and you've tried a few things and you've now moved up past, okay, I kind of like this. This is pretty cool. I would recommend the next evolution into wargaming, and that is going to be Paths of Glory. This is an all-time classic. It is ranked the number 3 best war game of all time for a reason. It is super, super good. You can replay World War I on your tabletop. It doesn't take up too much space. It is a card-driven system. The interesting part about this is your cards are used for several different things. So you can use it for your super cool ability, or you can use it for the action points on it. What do you do with those action points? There's so many cool things with Paths of Glory, but it is not an introductory game. You should be familiar with wargaming. You should be familiar with odds and ratios, my attack value versus your defense value. But there is so many good things to play in this. I think this is a gem. It's been re-released, the deluxe edition from GMT last year, so you can readily available. You can pick this up. If you haven't got it and you are familiar with wargaming, it is super good. Try it out. Paths of Glory.
Cool.
My fourth recommendation, when it comes to evoking theme, I would stack this game up against a lot of the games that I've put on the list. So similar, it's set in the world of World War II, but as I've talked about before, it's not necessarily like a frontline game. It's more home front, where your goal isn't too terribly difficult an ask. You're just trying to assassinate Hitler with the Gestapo harassing you at every turn. The game I'm talking about in this case is Black Orchestra from Starling Games. This was number 12 on my list. So it's definitely a very engaging game, highly tension-filled, and it even does a mechanic very well that I normally don't like in board gaming. It does you just lose the game mechanic, but it really fits in well because it adds to the tension of when you get into the last stage, you're like, okay, how much time am I going to have to make the plot go off? And then when you draw it, you're like, if I had one more turn or one more card or whatever. But I really like this one for evoking that tension of, can you make it happen? So my fourth recommendation, Black Orchestra.
Yeah, I'm really interested in that game.
And I love that if I had one more turn, because I've got a game coming up in my list. If I had one more turn, it's that kind of game. So yeah, I love the feel of that kind of game. I do. I really do. All right. My fourth recommendation. I mentioned this in our first collaborative 50 to 41 as an honorable mention, and that is Tokaido. Tokaido is it's an esoteric game where you are traveling along the East Road from Edo to Kyoto, and along the way you are visiting hot springs, donating at the temple, trying to find friends that do things for you along the way, eating wonderful meals, going to the market and buying things, and trying to enrich yourself. And we were talking about a groove kind of game, Higher Ground. This is a groove kind of game. I'd seen it played many times, but hadn't played it, which is why it wasn't on this list. But I have played it since I made this list with my son and taught him how to play it. And it was such a serene gameplay. I so enjoyed it. It was everything that I'd hoped it would be. My son is autistic, has Asperger's, so he's got to struggle to learn games. He picked this one up really well. A fantastic, easy entry point game for anyone who wants to get into the hobby, or you want to introduce a different kind of game to somebody. Great gateway game. My fourth recommendation, Tokaido.
Lovely. There's a hidden eye on the box that I couldn't find, so. Got some cool artwork, too.
Yep. It's a beautiful game to look at, too. I mean, that doesn't hurt it one bit. It is a beautiful game to look at spread out on the table.
All right. Well, like Jester, my fourth ranked game has the word glory in it. Basically, this is representative of a whole bunch of games by this company, which I have at least 3 of them in this top 50 list. Flying Frog Productions, and I chose to go with my number 33, Fortune and Glory, which is basically Indiana Jones in a box.
Yep, great game.
Yeah, so actually my second highest. rated one, but it's just B movie cheesiness, dice chucking. Manage a bunch. You can play it cooperatively, competitively, or solo. It's just a game that doesn't take itself seriously. A game we can battle the mob, battle the Nazis, battle the religious cult, the Crimson Hand, which is in a lot of their games. It's just the cards just want to make you laugh half the time, and just it's the characters that are just so out there.
One
Very-
character good at shopping.
Yeah, very thematic. Just Indiana Jones in the box is about the best way you can say it.
Yep.
Definitely needs a reprint. They did reprint for the Last Night on Earth and the Touch of Evil, and this one I'm surprised didn't get a 10-year anniversary reprint, but it really needs one. And that is
Yes,
Fortune
it does.
Voice. It's
For the
pretty
love
hard
of
to
God.
find the base game.
Yeah,
For
if they did, I'd grab it in a heartbeat. I would.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
me
about
too.
$2
I've been
bills
looking-
now for the
I've been
base
looking
game.
for this game. I can't get it.
Yeah, it's like $2 bills for the base game. Yeah.
It's a cult game. It really is.
Mhm.
It's a cult game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great recommendation. Number three.
Color. Anything else? There's color.
Ooh. All right,
Oh, that
color.
looks good. I like that. Yeah, that looks really
That's
good.
very pretty.
Very
Thank
pretty. You got all the different
you.
sports there. But my number 3 is not a sports game. It is a deck building game. You're going to hear that a lot from me. I love deck building games. But this is different. I resisted this game for the longest time because it had this weird mechanic. It's like, oh, we're going to take deck building and you're going to be able to slide cards into this sleeve and kind of alter what your card can do. And I'm like, that's dumb. That is ridiculous. Nobody's going to want to play that. And it released, and I never played it. An expansion after one, another expansion came out. No, it's dumb. It's just a stupid gimmick. It is dumb. And then finally, I got it, and instantaneously got hooked. It brings
did.
so many cool things to the deck building genre. That is, of course, Mystic Veil. The coolest thing about it is with almost every other deck building game out there, you are managing the size of your deck up or down based upon how many cards you buy, how many cards you can get rid of. In Mystic Veil, you always have the same number of cards. It's how what you add into your cards and where you add them, and what kind of combinations you can put on the cards. And it really took me, because it was different. It wasn't just another deck building game with a theme on it. It was, you got these clear plastic things, and it's like, oh, I want this one, but I got nowhere to put it. Do you press your luck? Because you can keep adding things to your tableau until you have 4 corruption, and once you get 4 corruption, you spoil and you lose everything. So you can go as far as you want and press your luck, or you can keep what you got. So there's a little press your luck mechanic in there as well, which I think it adds some strategy to the game and what you want to do. The solo version is super good. You take on an enemy. You're going to put the enemy into your deck, and you're going to put like a hero unit in your deck to kind of balance one another out, and you still have to win somehow as the enemy is working against you while he's in your deck. Really cool mechanic. My number 3 best game of all time, Mystic Veil.
Yeah, I watched you when you played this your first or second play or so, and I could hear the gears spinning all the way up in Delaware. I mean, you were just, your mind was like all digging into it, man. You were digging into this game. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised it's up here. Yeah.
One I've kind of hesitated around, but again, I'm getting picky with what's getting into my collection.
Not you.
Anywho,
Top 3.
similar to Jester, I've got a deck builder in my number 3 slot, but it's a different deck builder. So in this one, you actually play what are known as breach mages, defending the city of Gravehold from the Nameless. Admittedly, the breach mechanic took me a little bit of getting used to, but I really enjoy this one, and I see Jester pulling it up already, but my number 3 game is Anne's End from Indie Boards and Cards. So as I mentioned, you play Breach Mages defending Gravehold, and I've actually really liked the Legacy play of this, especially. I've actually played through the Legacy of this twice, where and Anne's End Legacy was actually my very first Legacy game. I had always kind of hesitated around Legacy games just because I don't like the idea of destroying your cards and only being able to play it once to the point where you have to buy another copy to play through it again. For this, for the Legacy of this, you buy a reset pack, and you're able to reset it for another playthrough of the campaign. And then the mages you build throughout the Legacy campaign, you can actually use in your other games of Aeon's End against the other nemeses. So yeah, my number 3, Aeon's End.
All right, my number 3 game. This is a crossover with PhoenixKnight and with ID Jester. And got this on recommendation from watching Will Wheaton's Tabletop a few years ago, and I went ahead and got it. It's a great cooperative game, and that is Pandemic. I do have an expansion for it, which is On the Brink, and it just makes the game even that much more. It would be way up here without On the Brink, but On the Brink puts it on the top 3. I love this game. You take on the role of people who are trying to stop an outbreak of 4, sometimes with this expansion 5 diseases. And you have a very limited number of times determined by the cards you have, and you can have outbreaks, which makes disease go everywhere. It really is a time cruncher. It's you could call it worker placement, I suppose, but it's not. No, it's not worker placement. It's card-driven worker movement, I suppose you might call it. It is a fantastic game. You can play solo by taking on multiple characters. You can play up to 4. There may be expansions that allow more, but this game is just, it's been a favorite for a few years, and I don't see it falling off the list anytime soon. I really don't. I love Pandemic. It is my number 3 board game of all time.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. All right, my number 3 is an economic game about rebuilding Japan after World War II-ish, I'd say. Probably takes place there. It's got a mechanism that I don't normally like in a game. It's my cat doesn't like it. And that is area control. But it's got a super cool. I played with ID Jester on his channel, and that game is Nippon. The way you take your actions is super cool. You get different colored workers. It's not work replacement, but you have different colored workers on this tableau, and each set of 3 workers, different colors, are associated with 2 different actions, whether it be production actions, building a factory, putting goods on the map, which is divided into 4 different zones. It's just a very tight. It's on BGA. In fact, it's out of print game, which I don't have a physical copy of, but I played it so much on BGA that it's just it's super tactical. It's like chess, economics chess. But the way the workers, the colored workers represent different nations and stuff like that, trying to sell goods. And the less colors you use, the better it is when you do a reset, because after, I think, every 5 workers, you have to do a reset, and you get charged by the least $3,000 for each, 3,000 yen for each color that you use. So you want to try to be efficient in picking the least number of colors, and they come out randomly, so it's sometimes hard to do. And a lot of it too is other players will draft colors of the actions that you want to take, and it's just very satisfying. They also produce a game, I think it's by what is that, they do Madeira too.
What's your game?
Yeah.
What's your game?
They do Madeira also. They tend to do a lot of heavy games, but this one is just it's super fun, and it is a bit of a long game, as I Chester and I have played, but it's a game that I'm willing to.
It was a great game. Great game.
Yeah,
It was.
It's a game that
It was like I was really into trying get Madeira, and I came across this game, and it was, and I said, it looks like the younger brother to Madeira. But after I played it with you, I'm like, no, this game is just as good as Madeira.
Yeah, it is. It is. I understand this one a bit more than I do Madeira. I'm still learning, but this game is one. It's one of the few games I'm really I can be good at. Yeah, I just really enjoy it. And I only play this turn based on. I don't play it real time, but it's super fun just to find out.
It was a long game, but it was so much fun. We had a good time. Good time.
Yeah. Yep.
Great time. All right, so number two. This is the second best board game of all time, and I don't know. I think PhoenixKnight broke into my house. He was looking at my list. I don't know what he was doing, but again, he's too hard on his goddamn games. My number 2 best game of all time is Aeon Zen. Absolutely, without a doubt. This is the third time I think we've been one off on our countdown, and I think we said when we started we were going to have a lot of crossovers, as me and Phoenix really have very similar tastes and similar likes, I guess, in a lot of our gaming. So that's good.
3 so far, yeah. Tonight.
It is one of these things. It's a deck building game that has that one interesting mechanism where, unlike every other deck builder game in the world where you shuffle your deck up, this game you can flip it over and just draw from your deck, so you can set up how your deck is going to play. And you think, oh, that's no big deal. It is a big deal when you see how important it is, where you can start getting your combos together. Instead of randomly shuffling your cards and hoping 2 cards end up together, you can put those 2 cards right together in your deck and know that they're going to come out together every time. Aeon Zen, I have everything for it. I've played the Legacy. I've played every expansion. I've gone through the campaigns. You can see them on my channel. It is an awesome, awesome game, and I highly recommend Aeon Zen. And here's the other thing. They're still coming out with content for it. They just released a new box game for Aeon Zen not too long ago. I think it was like last week they came out with a brand new Aeon Zen expansion. So I'm happy they're continuing it, and I hope they continue it forever. I love this game, Aeon Zen. My number 2 best game of all time.
My number 2 game, funnily enough, is sitting over Jester's shoulder right now. And I did mention to not go too far with that link, but my number 2 game is indeed Eldritch Horror. So pretty much take everything Jester said about Eldritch, and I feel the same way about it. My personal favorite sideboard is actually the Dreamlands sideboard, where you're able to have the dream portals out. The other ways to move over to the sideboard for the Dreamlands. I really enjoy this game. It's a little bit less of a table hog than 2nd edition, but it's still a bit of a table hog. So there's just no getting around that. But our groups always have so much fun playing this game, and one of our best memories is one of the first times that we kept playing against when the Ancient One woke up. We just made the Black Goat's space absolutely blow up and managed to win that game. So, number 2, Eldritch Horror.
Yeah, what a great game. What a great game. We just played it today, and as soon as we got done, the first thing I said is we should play it again. And it's a great game when you know when you lose and you want to play it again. That's It's a sign of a really good game.
And here's another one that you can lose and want to play it again because you had it licked. This is a 3-way crossover tonight. My number 2 board game of all time, Dune Imperium.
Wow.
I love Dune Imperium. It is so...
I did not know that. That's a surprise.
All of the mechanics fit the IP material. Everything works. Everything belongs in this game. There's nothing where it's like, what the heck are they doing that for? Everything that happens, it's perfect. From the intrigue cards to hoarding spice to trying to get the top of the conflicts to trying to beat people to the high court, the high council spaces and everything, to the different powers that you can take, the different leaders of the land's rad houses and the different factions you can. This game just hits it all for me. The first time I watched the movie, I didn't watch it in the theaters. I watched it on Amazon last November, December, maybe, but I was 20 minutes into the movie and I had been seeing people play Dune and I wasn't sure, but watching the movie, I was like, okay, I got to get this game. And I'm so glad I did. I enjoy this game immensely. It is my number 2 board game of all time, Dune Imperium.
Wow. Actually, that like I said, that was my number 2 up until like a week ago. So
yeah,
it is so good. I didn't know everyone else felt that strong about it. That's great.
It's a great game.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm exactly like you. Like I had no interest in Dune. I saw people play it, so I thought, oh, I'll get it and try it. And I played it. It was pretty good. I had no idea who Harkin was or Paul Atreides or
Night Bobby.
Bene Gesserits. I had no idea. So then I was like, I should probably learn a little bit about these guys. I watched the movie. I watched some documentaries. Hooked.
Oh, yeah.
Hook, line, and sinker. I'm in. I'm going. Every expansion, doesn't matter. I'm buying it.
The spice must flow.
Good night, Bobby. Good night. Thanks for coming by. We appreciate it. She doesn't know any of these games. She just came by because she's so wonderful. So thanks,
Bobby's
Bobby.
awesome.
All right. That's probably one of the highest rated games that not for me. I don't know why. I wanted to like it, but
different strokes.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, and this is the God honest truth. I've talked about this on my channel. The first time I played this game, I hated it as well. I was like, this is the dumbest, stupidest game because everyone I was playing with knew how to play. They knew what to do. And I didn't know what I was doing. I felt stupid. I was like, I don't understand what I'm doing. Why should I keep cards in my hand? Oh, so you can buy other cards at the end. Well, how do I buy the extra cards? Well, you got to have the extra points down at the bottom. Well, that's dumb. Why do I want that? It's dumb.
It's got a steep learning curve, but it's a very short learning curve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would just say, try it again, Higher Ground Gaming, because maybe you'll like it the second time.
I haven't actually played it. I've watched numerous playthroughs on it, and John Gets Games, I think, did one, and a few others. Maybe it might be one of those games I just need to play it.
Say IDJ's got to play through. I've got to play through. There's a couple of others to look at.
We can actually do it online. We can have 4-player game.
I think
we could.
Is it on online somewhere?
I believe
Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah, I'll look real quick.
Yeah, I think I tried it on a simulator. I think I tried it on a simulator. I didn't. Might have been on one of those. Anyway, all right. So my number 2 is obviously my highest rated Alexander Pfister game that is not Great Western Trail. And this is a game you can play as a campaign mode, or you can play as a just a regular game mode. It's an exploration game. It takes place in the Caribbean, and that game is Maracaibo. Maracaibo, yes, definitely the best campaign game I've played. I haven't played many, but I just love it. It's got multi-use cards in it. This was almost my number 1. I almost switched it with my number 1 just because I like it that much. But you can choose all kinds of different things in the game. You can choose war. You can choose exploration. You can choose colonization. You can choose doing quests, a little bit of each. Your player boards are just really cool. There's dual layer player boards in which you unlock powers on your ship and everything. And it's just very satisfying exploration game. You can go as fast or as slow as you want in this game. It basically, you have to go around the Caribbean 3 times. The more the further you go along in a certain action, the stronger your actions get. You got to look at what other players are doing to determine, how fast or how slow they're going. It's just very satisfying. Like I said, the multi-use cards. You can plan cards in your tableau. You can use the cards for goods, resources to complete quests. The whole campaign mode adds different parts to the player board. It adds pieces that you put up on the islands. It adds islands to it. It's just very satisfying, very fun solo and multiplayer game. And you can play with different motives, kind of like a little bit like Nemo's War, but very satisfying. Excellent game, Maracaibo.
Yeah. I always forget about this one. Always forget about it. I want to get it, and I want to play it, and I love the Great Western Trail, and I hear it's just as good, even better, according to some people, including yourself.
Yeah.
And I keep going, I should get that game, and I just haven't got around to doing it. I need to do it because it looks so good. It looks so good.
It's got an expansion with another campaign in it too, and another solo AI. Yeah.
I guess that's the one reason I would say I didn't get it yet is because I wanted to get them both, the base game and the expansion. And the place that I order stuff from didn't have both at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll just wait and get it, when they get
there's enough in the base game though to
I'm sure there is.
Last a long time.
It's so good. And I just found Great Western Trail too. And that game hooked me. It's in my top 100 of all time. And it's kind of uses the same kind of general mechanics.
Yep. This theme really works for me though, the whole exploration thing. I love it.
Final recommendations.
Final recommendations. All right.
I don't know if I want to say this game because it is my number one.
Well, then you can save it.
Okay, I'll save it then.
Yeah, save it.
I'll take a pass on this.
You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to. My last recommendation is another war game, actually. This is another one of these games. If you're getting into wargaming and you're understanding hexes and counters on the battlefield and terrain and stuff, but you also kind of miss the good old days with cards. You want to play with cards and stuff. And, normal war games, they don't have that. Well, they do. They do, and they have one of the best games ever. It was actually my number 13th best game of all time. It's Combat Commander. It is so good. Now, the reason I'm introducing this back to people is it's been out of print for a while, and it's expensive game right now, but they are going to be reprinting it in the next 2 to 3 months. It's going to be back on the shelves, and when it comes back on the shelves, I can tell you guys, grab a copy of it, grab your buddy, grab your friend, and just sit down and play it. You will have a lot of fun playing this game. The battlefield chaos is so interesting, and I want to do something, but I don't have the card. Oh, I wish I had the card. Yes. It takes things, and which is one of the things I don't like about wargaming is, I'm going to move these counters over here just because I can. Well, in Combat Commander, you can't do anything unless the cards allow you to do it. And that's what I love is it takes some of the decisions away. You can't do that because you don't have the cards, which is representing the orders. Like your commander can't make it up his mind. What should we do? Or the orders don't get there because the guy answering the radio is dead, right? So, there's all kinds of really cool things you can put into it. But this is one of these games that literally you can have victory because the victory is very simple. There's a little pawn, and it's either on your side, it's on the 0 space, or it's on your opponent's side. And at the end of the game, wherever the pawn is, you win. If you have the pawn on your side, you win. Sounds simple. Wait until the very end when your opponent plays a card, gets it moved over, and ends the game on the same turn, and you throw your cards in his face and say, God damn you. That's what a great game it is.
All right. So my last recommendation was actually my number 4 game that I talked about earlier tonight. I'm coming back to Terra Mystica again. It's probably not the best gateway game in the world, I would say, but it's definitely one that I think everybody should pick up and play at least once. Even with only having played the base game solo, there's still a lot to sink your teeth into, especially with the various factions in this game. And every one of them will play a little bit differently. And I've been enjoying that as I've been digging into this game. So my last recommendation, Terra Mystica.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's be honest. The big box edition will kill somebody if it falls off the shelf on your head.
Oh yeah.
Crushed by a vending game.
Ideas.
So you get a lot in that box. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of good stuff in that box. A lot of different factions to play. A lot of different scenarios. A lot of good stuff. Good recommendation.
I went back and forth on picking that one up, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
All right, my final recommendation, and I got this off the suggestion of, I believe, Higher Ground Gaming a couple of weeks ago.
Ooh.
And Eric up there mentioned, I'm going to Noble Knight this week. Eric C. in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
In the chat, way up there. He says, I'm going to Noble Knight this week. I said, well, I went to Noble Knight last week, and I got this game on Wednesday. It is Hostage Negotiator. I love this game. It is cool. I've played it 4 or 5 times to really get the hang of it, and I've beat the initial Abductor 3 out of 5 times. So now I'm going to step it up when I play it, and I think I'm going to get this on the channel pretty soon. And you have cards that are conversation snippets, which give you certain boons or certain penalties as to hostages being killed or hostages being released, the abductor's mood towards you worsening or improving, which gives you more or less dice to succeed at the conversations, to give you points to buy more conversations to the next turn. It really is a very puzzly noodly kind of game, and man, it just grows on me. Small game, very good time constraint, easy to learn. Was pretty much playing it, going through the very small rule book, Tiny Epic Galaxy-esque size rule book, and the other 4 games since that. No, I've got it down pat, and it really is a fun game. Very easy to learn. It is solo only, but it is a great solo game. So anyone who's looking for something just to pass a little bit of time or something, I highly recommend Hostage Negotiator.
By the makers of Final Girl.
Yep.
Yeah, similar mechanics. Yeah. Well, I'm going to switch it up. I'm not going to name my number one. I'm going to recommend another game. And this is a game that's not in my top 100 yet, because it's still in shrink, but it's that good of a game that I really, really think it's going to be an awesome game. It's a game about coffee where you're managing a coffee shop.
Oh.
And you get hipsters, you get old people, you get all kinds of different people come into your shop, and that is Seize the Bean. Where you're basically, it's an engine building tableau. You get all these customers you have to satisfy. They give you good or bad reviews, whether or not you can satisfy their orders.
Spell that for me. Seize the Bean.
Yes. SEIZE. Yeah, that should bring it up.
That's what
Seize the Bean.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, got it. I got
It's
it.
an iconography nightmare, so I'm waiting. But it's a terrific game, and just the characters in it are super funny. The reviews you get are hilarious to read, and whoever has the best reviews at the end of the game wins the game. But it's a cool game where you're managing a coffee shop and adding, like I said, upgrading your coffee shop, and just cool game. Cool game. Yeah,
awesome.
It took forever to get. It took almost 5 years on Kickstarter to get, but
right.
Wow.
Yeah. But the components are super cool. You get little coffee cups and little beans and milk cartons and stuff like that. So it's great production value.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I guess it's time, boys and girls. It is time to release. Wow, look at that. We didn't even got a fancy logo for number 1. That is really good.
You should put that on your refrigerator.
That looks really good, actually. That is really good.
Dollar.
All right, I'm going to probably be sitting here talking about my number one game for
I'm
like
so
half
proud
an
of
hour.
us,
You guys can go take a break, get something
All
to
right.
drink or whatever. I mean, I could sit here and talk about this game forever. My whole channel in 2022, 2023 is designed to create the world's greatest tutorial for this game. This is a game that originally came out in 2008, and it is still getting expansions, full-fledged expansions released for it today. In fact, January, its 15th expansion just came out. I would go through the different combinations that you can use when you play this game. It's incredible. It's literally, if you were to take a grain of sand and walk over to the edge of the Grand Canyon and drop it in, the amount of variety in this game is equal to dropping in and filling up the Grand Canyon 28 different times with grains of sands. That is how big a variety it is. It is so immensely huge. There is actually a formula that I can show you guys about this, where if you have, let's see if I can bring this up because I think it's important. Here it is. Here's the formula. Let me share it with you guys.
Is it math?
It's math.
Awesome.
It's math. So we're gonna take. We're gonna take 500. We're gonna take 588 different objects. We're gonna take 10 of those, and we're gonna calculate how many different combinations there are in that.
Oh,
and it's gonna mean
combos.
1.260645426998 times 10 to the 21st power. That's a lot. That's
got to be a deck builder.
It is, of course, a deck builder. It is the number one best game of all time. It is, of course, Dominion, the original deck builder.
Yep.
Again, I realize that some people do not classify this as the best game ever because it doesn't have much of a theme and it doesn't have any attacking or, managing your resources and doing this. But this game is the game that started it all. It is the game that is so big and so powerful. It is the driving force behind board games. I have all the expansions, all 15 expansions, twice because I love this game so much. I have a copy up on my desk that sits above on my shelf over there that has all 15 boxes, which are $30 to $35 a piece. There's 15 of them. Yes, it's $750. But I have those just because I want to keep those separate on my shelf, and I have a separate edition I play with. I love this game so much. It is the best game ever created. Dominion.
All right. My number one game. If you're shocked by my number one game, you're probably not spending enough time on my channel.
Mystical
If
Monkey.
anything, this is probably the backbone of my scheduling my content for the year. So while Jester pulls up Arkham Horror, the card game, I'll tell you guys how I got into this game.
Yep.
So walk back in time with me to 2019. I'm kind of floundering around in my local game store at the time with Magic the Gathering, kind of not really feeling like I'm fitting in anywhere. Then we get to February, and the one person I consider to be somewhat of a friend in the community passes away. And suddenly I find myself really with feeling like I've got nobody I can talk to about anything Magic related. So in a lot of ways, with the benefit of hindsight, I kind of realized that that kind of hastened the inevitable for me of me getting out of Magic. So now I find myself with free time, and I've got two friends in my ear. One's whispering to me about Final Fantasy XIV. Another's telling me about the Arkham Horror files. Now, I had a little bit of experience with Final Fantasy XIV, so I decided, you know what? I'm at a point right now where I'm ready to offer my social life to Great Cthulhu and basically just let him kill it in the Arkham Horror Files. Not only did he not accept the offering, in a lot of ways, it kind of sparked my social life a little bit, where I at least pretend I have a social life now. But anyway, I'm kind of rambling about how I got into the Arkham Horror Files now. I really enjoy the various campaigns in here, and every one of them feels very different. And it's a very twisty campaign, which I very much like about this game. Where a lot of the other campaign games, at least the ones I've found, have what I call that treadmill campaign experience, where you have to win the next scenario before you move on to it. Whereas here, I like that it's got twists and turns and ways to modify the game based on whether you win, lose, or how well you do at either one. The one thing I will say about it is deck building can be a little bit of a pain just because each investigator builds in a slightly different way. But my number one game is indeed Arkham Horror, the card game.
I got that out yesterday morning before the gaming group came down to acclimatize myself to it. I hadn't played it in a while, and I really need to dig into it. I haven't dug into this game yet, but yeah, good one. Very good one.
So, of course, Phoenix, the big question that you're going to get from everyone is, do I buy the old version or do I buy the new release? What do they call it? Enhanced edition or revised edition, right? So what should people, if they're new to Arkham Horror, what would you tell them?
I guess the answer to that is going to depend on what you're looking, is going to depend on what kind of gaming group you have. If you're playing solo, you're probably going to get a different answer than if you're playing with a full gaming group of 4 people. So I would say if you're playing solo, you're probably going to want to look for a revised core, or not. Flip that. You're going to want to look for an original core because you're only going to need to build for 2 players at most. But if you're looking for a full 4-player group, say that 5 times fast, you're going to want a revised core because you'll come out with it'll give you all 4 decks right out of the box.
Okay. I know we've been meaning to get together sometime and play this online, and we're going to do that sometime when I get back from my vacation. We'll do that. We'll schedule it.
You can't.
I want to. I know you've convinced me to give it another shot, and just like Marvel Champions, I think there's probably a great game that I'm just missing out on, and I need to try it. So
yeah, we'll definitely get something on the calendar.
Absolutely. Great game. All right.
Me?
Yeah.
My number one board game of all time. Any guesses?
I'm not playing guessing games.
Chess.
It's a crossover with Higher Ground Gaming and ID Jester.
Oh. Is it role player?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Oh, I know what it is. I know exactly what it is.
Yeah,
I know exactly what it is because I'm like, duh.
Who knew a game about birds?
Oh, Wingspan. Yeah.
We talked about that last week. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'd seen some people play this game, and I was like, really? A game about who the heck is going to play a stupid game about birds? Who? In their right mind, okay, not the right mind, so I already qualify, is going to play a game about birds. And the more I watched it, I was like, that might be worth a try. So I got it. I learned how to play it. Hooked ever since. And the combinations keep on coming. And it also answered a philosophical question. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? You can't lay eggs unless you have a chicken to lay it on. So the chicken came first. Who knew? This board game also is philosophical. You have a hand of birds and you play them, and you need to generate food and cover egg costs in order to place them on your tableau. And they have powers that activate sometimes when you play them, sometimes on other people's turns. And whenever you choose an action in that habitat, you go from right to left and activate each bird's power if it activates at that time. And you can build stuff up. You can get You have one row where you get food, one row where you lay eggs, one row where you draw cards, which are birds that you can play. And you can get one row that lay eggs. You can get a bird that gets you food, and you can get a bird that draws you cards, and you don't need to go to the others. I had a 159-point game last year. I had a 159-point game last year playing this game. It is so fun. I love Wingspan so much. There are so many thoughts going through my head, but man, this is just, I've got 195 logged plays on it since I got it 2 Christmases ago.
Wow.
I love this game. This is the go-to. Ron and I will sit, he comes down, it's like, well, what are we going to play today? Wingspan, and we'll roll out 6 games. We'll just go down, just Wingspan. I love this game. It is by and large, far and away, my number 1 board game of all time.
Great. What do we want to call it? Action management.
Yep.
Yes, and it is the game where I wish I had
Engine
one
building.
more turn. I wish I had one more turn and I could have done that. But if you can get birds that do a different thing than the row that you like, if you choose lay eggs, if you have a bird there that can get you food also, that's one less thing you have to worry about doing later in the game. And it's thinky. There's a lot of strategy in a bird game where you're trying to have as many birds as possible in your aviary. There's a lot of strategy with this bird game.
Yeah. You gotta put the bird down that lays the eggs. You gotta put the bird down that makes the money. You gotta put the bird down that gets the resources. You gotta put. Well, I can't do that until I do all these other things first. Oh my God! What do you start with? What do you do?
It's crazy. It is.
Yep.
And the AI
there are
is
birds that can hold food on them. They cache food, so those are
tucking cards too.
There are birds that take
Fucking
cards
good.
and they tuck cards, bird cards face down underneath. Those are points. Man, there's just
ways to
so
get
much
extra in-game goals in it too. I love getting those cards too.
You have bonus cards. You have end of round goals. There are so many points out there waiting.
2-for-1 cards.
Man,
play 2 birds at one time.
Yep. I played 5 birds at once one time. In the forest. Play another, and dropped one. I played 5 at one time. That's action economy for you.
Wow.
You gave them the bird.
Love this game.
That's pretty good. Great game.
Yeah.
And solo AI is spot on good. It's just good. Well, this would be interesting.
Alrighty.
Here we go.
So it's not a Feld. It's not a Rosenberg. It's by my number 3 favorite designer, Luciani. This game I call smooth like butter. It's that's the way I describe this game. It's so smooth and so like the way it flows and how it's made up and everything just really it just flows so well, and it's perfect time limit, perfect number of actions in the game to me. In fact, when they came out with an expansion for this, I didn't want to get it at first because I was afraid it was going to ruin the game for me. It was so good. And that is, I don't even actually have the copy here. It's in my gaming group. And that is Grand Austria Hotel. Oh man, it's just, it's my favorite.
They just released a brand new expansion for that.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Let's Waltz.
Yes.
I've had that for a little while now. I got it on Kickstarter, so I've had it for a little while. It's a great modular expansion. But I still, the base game has just got enough in it for me. I do play with the expansion, but it's got some great mechanics, and it's got action drafting where you draft your servants in the game. Basically, you're managing a hotel and you're accepting guests into your hotel lobby. You have to feed them first, and then after you feed them, you put them in different hotel rooms. It's just awesome. It's got contracts. It's got the way you pick your act, the dice rolling. You roll a certain amount of dice depending upon your player count, and then you depending upon the dice rolls 1 through 6, you can either get food, you can prepare rooms for your guests. You can each round you can have up to 3 guests in your dining room before you have to put them into rooms. Hand management. There's a drafting phase where you draft your servants and different hotel people. Set collection. It's got a lot of good stuff to it, and it's just really it's very satisfying. It's got a track where you have to the emperor has to come in and judge your hotel every couple of rounds, and if you don't meet his expectations, kind of like the Vatican track in Lorenzo Il Magnifico, if you don't meet his expectations, then you'll have a penalty. But if you do satisfy his needs, then you're basically you can get bonuses and stuff like that. So it's just, and it's got end game goals in it. Just lots of replayability. Just the guests are super funny, and they have different powers. Every time you satisfy a guest, they give you victory points. They give you certain powers. They give you different food. You can feed the other clients in it. It's just the way it's made up and the way it flows. It's just it's like I said, smooth like butter. That is my number 1 game.
Nice.
Hotel.
So we got a couple comments. ID Chris, Knight, and Higher Ground. Thank you for opening my eyes to your universe of games. Wow, you've opened my eyes. And another one here from Private Public. Thanks, guys. There are a lot of nuggets of gold in those lists that I think I need to look further into. Well played. Nice to hear some good comments. Thank you, guys. We do appreciate you guys stopping by. And wow, it was great ride, and I think we have a great base to go from next year.
Mm-hmm.
We can compare and see how games move up and down the list, and new games that are added and games that are removed from your list, and how many new games do you get? How many new games are added to the list?
Hey, IDJ, if you want to, before people make my picture bigger, and I can do like a rundown for everybody of everyone's top 10.
Sure, let's do that. Let's make your face ugly. I mean, bigger.
Can't make it uglier than it already is.
There we go.
Here's ID Jesters, top 10. Inside Pitch Baseball, Marvel Champions, the card game, Lock and Load, I'll Take a Drink in a Minute, Heroes of Normandy, Eldritch Horror, Dune Imperium, Sentinels of the Multiverse, Arkham Horror, Mystic Vale, Aeon's End, and Dominion. And then we have Higher Ground Gaming. His number 10, right there. Castles of Burgundy, Bruges, Macayo, Orleans, Fields of Arles, Terraforming Mars, Le Havre, Nippon, Maracaibo, and Grand Austria Hotel. Then we have PhoenixKnight, starting at his number 10. You have Space Empires 4X, Elder Sign, Gaia Project, Dune Imperium, Cthulhu Death May Die, Arkham Horror 2nd Edition, Terra Mystica, Aeon's End, Eldritch Horror, Arkham Horror, the card game. And then we've got my top 10, which is Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition, Tiny Epic Galaxies, Brass Birmingham, Heat, Pedal to the Metal, Hadrian's Wall, Stratomatic Baseball, Azul, Pandemic with On the Brink, Dune Imperium, and Wingspan.
Wow.
That's a lot of games.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. Our number ones was Dominion, Grand Austria Hotel, Wingspan, and Arkham Horror, the Living Card Game. That is 4 really different games.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yep.
That's interesting. Very interesting. But we had a lot of crossover, which I thought we would.
Yeah.
Especially towards the end here, the last couple episodes. Of course, when you're talking 80 and 90 and 100, you're not going to get as much crossover because you're more on the fringe, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of core games that you're going to cross over just by just playing those games
Yeah.
with other people. So question, did Sleeping Gods? Yes, Sleeping Gods made my number 100, I believe it was.
Right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It was my number 100 was Sleeping Gods. Yes. If there's any other questions we have in the chat about games that maybe whether they were on any of our lists.
Or throw your number ones in there real quick. Let's hear what yours are.
Yeah, if you guys want to share with us
What are your favorite games? Yeah,
favorite games, let us
Axis
know.
and Allies is on my
Nandering
list. I
Mike
love
says
that
he's
game.
more of a war gamer.
Yep.
His number one is Britannica and Battle for Germany. E4 Airman still loves Axis and Allies.
Yeah, that was on my list. Yep.
Sleeping Gods for me, just because it was brought up. I would say it didn't make it any higher just because I didn't play it enough. I didn't want to move it up. You know, part of my recommendations or part of my list was how well does it play solo and how much have I played it and how good of a game is. Those three determine where the game's going to rank.
Worst 100.
Tim Zales, ASO.
Oh, Advanced Squad Leader. Look at that. Nice. That was on my list.
Yep.
Like in the 60s or something, I think. 67.
Yep.
Well, our worst 100. Oh boy, that was. I don't know about that. We don't have.
I
a
think
worst
Jay's
100.
the only one that has that many games.
We don't have a worst. There's a few that I have not. I'm willing to sell because I don't like them, but I don't think I'd have 100 of those. I've got a few.
That would be a top 5 games that we've played that we'll never stinking play again.
Well, I would hate to do that because here's the thing.
Yeah.
Dune Imperium was one of those games at me at one point when I played it. And Terra Mystica was another one. I played
But
Terra
I'm talking
Mystica.
about right now. Right now.
Yeah, but I mean, I could say like right now, I hate Gloom is Kill Forth because you're just running around trying to get keywords.
I'm going to get hatred for this one. You ready?
Ready.
Castles of Burgundy.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, we hate you. Goodbye.
Castles of Burgundy.
Really?
It was so dry. You said it was a themeless game. It did nothing for me. I tried it 3 or 4 times. I learned how to play it. It did nothing for me. I didn't give it to somebody else. I didn't want anybody else to be subjected to it.
It is themeless. That's what makes it so great. Mechanics over theme any day for me. All right, I'm gonna get some hate with this one.
Uh-oh.
Also, we're all doing one. Okay, this is cool.
Arkham anything.
Ooh.
Oh, do we ban him permanently or what? Wow.
That'd be my vote.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Arkham anything. So no Arkham Horror, no Elder Tor, no Elder Sign, no nothing, huh?
No.
Man.
And I'll throw Harry Potter in there too.
Oh my God, Harry Potter, the deck building game is so good. How? Oh my God.
Private Public's right with you, Higher Ground.
Ooh, we're gonna have to. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to ban him from now on.
So yeah, worker placement. No.
Nemesis. I don't own Nemesis, so I cannot recommend or talk about that.
All right, Phoenix. We want to hear your input on this one.
Bring it, baby. Bring it. Bring it.
The one game that I played, I did not like at all, was actually on this year's war game list, and I'm not gonna rant about it, but I'm definitely gonna have some things to say about it. I did not like Metal Dawn at all. It just, I don't know. There was a lot about that game that I just did not like.
Yeah, I can see that. That's the one I sent you, and I didn't understand it that much, and I think I send that with
him with it.
You sent that was part of the initial.
Some of the war games just to have you try because I thought maybe you would like it more than I did. Banished to Snakes, yeah, that's another one I would never subject anyone to. Oh my God. That is the worst designed game ever. I don't care what they say. Queen Series. What? Oh, he likes the coin series. Okay. All right.
Mhm.
I was going to say Fire in the Lake and Existent Plane are my favorite. Yep. They made my list. I don't think they made any of your guys' list, but
What were the one you were thinking about, ID?
what's that?
What was the game you were thinking about that you absolutely would never play again?
What's it called? The Kickstarter one that the one that I threw across my room.
Shadows
was
of
that one?
Brimstone.
Was it? Was it?
Shadows of Brimstone.
No, it was
I know you don't like that.
Oh, Race to Moscow.
Ah.
I did the Kickstarter for this.
Oh, and that was the pieces needed to be different colors and everything.
Wait, is
I
it
think
called
I
Race
watched
to
you play it.
Moscow? Race to MOS.
I think I watched you play this.
Race to Moscow.
What was that
1941.
private public? Was that the Arkham
I
stuff?
did an unboxing of this game, and because I just got it from my Kickstarter.
Mhm.
This is like literally the worst designed game ever. I mean,
You
I
couldn't find
literally
one
got. I
with
just
the
unboxed it.
board.
I didn't even play it, and they're
Oh, it was missing a
charging
plane,
you $39 for 4 little plastic planes.
and one of them had a broken leg.
Yeah, let's see if I can. Oh, they don't count as an expansion. That's too bad. Because I would love to show you the box that they're trying to sell. Let's go to Miniature Market because Miniature Market has it. Race to Moscow. There it is. There it is. Oh, it's on super sale now. Instead of $49, it's only $37. This is
that's
what you
worth
get. 3 plastic planes and a plastic ship is what you get for $37. Can you believe? Can you believe the
Those
nerve?
are made from space age polymers.
Oh my God! Can you believe that somebody's trying to charge $37 for that?
It could be worse. You could have paid $36 for the copy of Hornet Leader I got.
What's wrong with the? I saw you doing an unboxing of it, and then you weren't very happy about it.
Be right back.
Oh, okay.
Here we go.
Uh-oh. Here's a hot take for you. Wingspan is just okay.
I saw that in different strokes, different folks, because
okay.
I know that Higher Ground Gaming loves Castles of Burgundy, and I can't stand it. So, no, totally understand that. Totally understand it.
This is what I got in my copy of Hornet Leader. Not a lot of the original components. And just to make matters worse, if I can ever get this open, wrong game board.
Ah!
Wow. Okay.
Ha!
I have
Wow.
an email out to Noble Knight to see if there's anything we can do about that, but I haven't heard a peep back from them all weekend.
They're
Man.
pretty good. They'll get back
Yeah.
with you. I've had a couple issues with a few things, but
Wow.
my very expensive second edition Arkham Horror expansion that I bought that was very expensive game, and it didn't come with all the cards. Because I mean, when you spend $130 for an expansion, you want to make sure you got all the cards. I literally counted every single card out, and I'm like, I'm missing cards.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm willing to bet PhoenixKnight that those two games came in on the same deal and they had all the components out and we're checking them and got the boards mixed up. I'm willing to bet.
Possible.
Yeah, they'll get up. Hopefully, they'll get up with you. They'll be able to make it right. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will give you guys as a bonus. I will give you my 101 to 110 extra games.
Okay.
101 would be Fields of Fire.
Mhm.
102 would be World War II, Barbarossa to Berlin. Number 3 would be Fallen Land. Number 4 is Dragonfire. 105 is Title Bout 2. PhoenixKnight has that.
There you go. Crossover.
103 is Nations the Dice Game, which I think was on your list, Chris. 107 was Aeon's End Legacy Edition. I decided to separate that from the other Aeon's End because it is different enough. 108 is Mage Knight, which I'm surprised didn't make any of our lists in the top 100 because that's like considered one of the best solo games of all time.
Never played it.
Neither have I.
109 is Race to Bastogne, and 110 is The Great Wall of China.
Cool.
I have 101 to 104 listed.
Oh, sure. Yeah, if you want to share.
All right. 101 was A Touch of Evil, Dark Gothic, and Colonial Horror. The card living that well, not the living card game, but the card game.
I just played that.
Number 102 was Pine Tar Baseball.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. 103 was Or the Mining Game, and number 104 was Sorcerer City.
Mr. President's going to be here in 2 weeks. I'm loving it. I can hardly wait. I've been.
Thanks, Andre. Thanks for coming by, buddy.
Yep. Thanks, Andre. Thanks, E4. Mr. President is going to be here in 2 weeks. Yay!
Yeah. It will be here for sure.
Mm.
I think 2 weeks, huh? I don't think it's going to be longer than that.
Ship 6th to 10th in my email, and we'd get updates on it, but should ship 6th to 10th because I pre-ordered it pretty early. So I'm hoping it'll get here when it gets here, but they did take the money out. And they said
here's just so you know, and it just depends on when they ship it out.
Yeah.
But normally, whenever they ship it out, I get it exactly 30 days later from when they start shipping. So when they say March 14th, I can expect it April 14th on my doorstep every year. Or every
I know you were asking Gene that during Tony's Mr. President.
Oh
thing
yeah.
last year.
Oh yeah.
Where are my P500s?
I think they do that on purpose, but I can't prove it. I can't prove it.
Chris, have you played Everdell? Did you have it on your list?
No, I don't have Everdell. No.
Yeah.
No.
My other buddy he prefers that one over Wingspan. I don't, but he does. So might be worth looking
Everdell looks so good, but I wish they would have I think there's a definitive edition, but you can't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
Because buying all the individual expansions and everything is such a pain in the butt.
Oh yeah.
Patrick, thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. He says, great show. Thanks for sharing your list. I had 4 items on the P500, $210. Yeah, mine, same thing. I had 4 as well.
Mm-hmm.
It can be expensive. And like half the games now, I'm like, I wish I wouldn't have even P500. But well, anyways, guys. We did it. We made it. We made it through. It's a lot of work, right? Mm-hmm. Now you just have to, because same time next year, around the same time.
Yeah.
We're going to do it again. So you're going to need to know all your new games. You're going to have to keep track because I want to ask you questions like, how many new games have you bought since the last time? And I want to hear, I don't know, because you can know. You can.
I bought 14 in the last 3 weeks.
Right. How many new games do you have?
125 ish.
Yeah, 100 games. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot to go through, and I appreciate you guys going through this journey because, like I said in the beginning, without you guys pushing me through, I would have done exactly what I've been doing for months, saying, "Oh, I'll get to it, and finally somebody, I think it was PhoenixKnight, that said, "Oh, okay, I'll do it with you." I was like, well, damn, now I'm going to have to actually do it. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to do it, then I might as well get some guys and do it with them. So I appreciate you guys going along with the ride and giving me your comments and your thoughts. And
I'm actually starting to somewhat slowly scribble some notes together for a top 100 list.
There you go.
Ooh, there you go. There you go. And I think the most interesting thing is what you're going to see next year. Mm-hmm. Is you're going to realize, oh, that game, I thought it was really good, but man, I played it again and I don't like it as much. I'm not going to rank it my 14th best game of all time. It's going to drop to like 70 all of a sudden. You're going to be like, how does it happen where I have a game that's in my top 20 and it ends up going all the way up to like 70 or 80? Your tastes change. I'm telling you, your tastes change.
Just glancing at this list, at this initial list, there are definitely some games I can see falling down the list and pretty fast.
I've gotten some games very recently that are going to be on the list. So, some games are going to move down. I'm probably going to put less emphasis on the family and growing up games and go with more modern stuff. But, it'll change.
Yeah, it's definitely going to change.
Hmm.
That'll be
Yeah,
interesting
a lot
to
of
see
shrink.
how many new games you get, get added to the list, and
Yeah.
how many games move up or down.
Yeah, I thought last year was going to be the year of the game, but this year is turning out to be just the same. I'm like, oh, great.
And it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like for all of us, like I said, my number 2 to number 6 are very, very equal. But my number 1 is so far in front of everything, it's like not even close.
For me, my number 1 and my number 2 are locks right now. Dune and Wingspan, they're locks. Yeah.
I don't know. My number 1 and 2 are really close together.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they're really close.
Yeah, I'm thinking my number 1 and number 2 are pretty tight as well.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll find out. I got it on record now. I can pull this up next year. So
There you go.
everything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Timestamp 239.
That's it. All right, guys. Well, it's been a great journey. Thank you for coming along with me. I hope we can, I'll be gone for a couple weeks in June, but when I get back, we'll try and schedule a time, maybe in a couple months from now, and maybe do another
Top 10.
10 best solo games, or
Yeah, some kind of list.
10 best games that you have the letter T in it, or whatever. I don't know. We'll come up with something.
10 most overrated games.
Ooh, oh, there's a good one. Or maybe 10 games you want to put in a pile and burn them. There we go.
Shackles of Burgundy.
But it's been a great journey, and we appreciate everyone that's come along for the ride, and Andre and Meandering Mike and Patrick, Tactics and Tutorials, and Tim Zales and Private Public, Jack Thompson, and boy, we had a lot of people coming out today. E4 Airman, Viper Dave,
Bobby Catalano.
Bobby Catalano. Modine was out here for a while.
Jack Thompson.
Yep. Nordic Maelstrom. Thank you guys for coming out. We do appreciate everyone's time and effort.
Yeah.
It's been a fun journey, and we'll hope to see you next time. Until then, my friends, we'll see you all down the line.